Chapter 2300. Think carefully, little brother. Qi Datong couldn't help but advise. He had gone through trials and tribulations with Lin Feng. After spending some time together, Qi Datong understood this human youth quite well. Judging from his words, expression, and reaction, his choice was actually very clear. I've thought it through, Senior Qi. Lin Feng smiled. There was no need to hesitate. Since there were only 3 choices, he could only choose one. The choice that Wu Sanjian gave him was actually a single-choice question for him. I choose the 3rd, Senior Wu. Lin Feng didn't hesitate. Lin Feng was naturally adventurous and was no stranger to battle. Competition and ambition flowed in his blood. Lin Feng had a strong desire to become strong. This was deeply imprinted in his bones since he was young. He had never been afraid of battle. I admire your decisiveness. Wu Sanjian's voice was indifferent. Then, do you want to participate in the Underground King Slaughtering God Arena or the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge? Senior Qi, which one do you think is better? Compared to Wu Sanjian, Lin Feng trusted Qi Datong more. In terms of experience, as a member of the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company, Senior Qi shouldn't be too far off. He wasn't familiar with the Xing Feng star boundary, so he would listen to Senior Qi's opinion. Qi Datong nodded. Although he didn't want Lin Feng to choose the 3rd option, since it was Lin Feng's decision, he wouldn't interfere. Simply put, one is 1 versus 1, the other is 1 versus many. Qi Datong said. Lin Feng was curious. Qi Datong said, the Underground King Slaughtering God Arena organized by the Slaughtering God Tower is the fastest and most direct way to earn a large amount of money. 1 versus 1 duel, based on strength, is divided into 7 levels: Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Slaughtering God, and Underground King. Each level is divided into 7 stages. Killing 3 opponents of the same level consecutively will allow you to advance. The higher the level, the higher the appearance fee. Lin Feng nodded. In other words, it was an arena where the winner was king. Slaughtering God Tower. Lin Feng murmured. Such a power must be very rich. Just the entrance fee alone was quite high. Compared to the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company, which one was stronger? Lin Feng didn't ask. He would find out sooner or later. Underground King's God-Slaying Arena's prize money is directly given out. You'll be given out for every round you win. The higher your level, the more you'll get. Most importantly, other than the prize money, there's also the appearance fee. Although it's not as good as the prize money, it's still quite considerable. Therefore, many strong cultivators who are in dire need of money will participate in the King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena to earn a lot of money. Your life rating is at the middle heavenly god level, so you will be assigned to the silver level. The appearance fee for the first stage is 100 astral coins, and the bonus is 1% of the income from the entrance fee. In the beginning, if you don't have much fame, the bonus is usually not as good as the appearance fee. However, as your fame increases, the bonus will gradually increase until it completely surpasses the astral coins. Lin Feng nodded. Your battle prowess has completely surpassed that of a mid-heavenly deity. Wu Sanjian crossed his arms over his chest and held his sword, saying coldly, It's enough to easily win the platinum rank if you make good use of your odds. I believe 1,000 cosmos crystals won't be a big problem. However, there's always a chance. The King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena is a battle to the death, and the survival rate is extremely low. Qi Datong said, there's always a higher mountain. If you're unlucky, you'll meet a more monstrous opponent. Therefore, the risk of participating in the King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena is very high. Of course, the rewards are also very high. I understand. Lin Feng nodded. The second Time Void Realm Survival Challenge has very simple rules. To put it bluntly, it's just 3 words: survive. Qi Datong said. The King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena tests one's battle prowess and one's ability to fight one-on-one. However, the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge tests one's overall ability, including communication, concealment, survival, escape, and other aspects. Of course, strength is still the most important. One against many. Lin Feng suddenly understood. Qi Datong said, "The Time Void Realm is a product of the Time Virtual Company. It's formed by modifying a broken postnatal black hole. It's an void realm, but it's also a genuine existence. Moreover, it has the ability to accelerate time, so it's quite precious. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge has 7 void realms. Each Time Void Realm has a strength limit. Unlike the King's Slaughter of the Gods Arena, the Time Virtual Company has the most advanced technology and AI in the Xing Feng astral boundary. It will clearly evaluate your battle prowess and then divide you into 7 time void realms. Each time void realm has a different flow of time. However, the time required to pass the test is the same in the outside world. There are 7 standards: 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, and 1,000,000 years. In addition to surviving, you also need to obtain other things. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge doesn't have a basic participation fee, but there's a fixed reward. It's decided by the percentage of the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. The most special thing is that any martial artist can bet on themselves before entering. The AI of the Time Virtual Company will give the corresponding odds and rewards according to the martial artist's strength and the current danger level of the Time Void Realm. There are many specific details. If you decide to participate, the AI of the Time Virtual Company will inform you. I've never participated before, so I don't know the details. However, Lord Wu has participated before. Qi Datong said. Wu Sanjian coldly snorted, "I'm just trying to save time." Save time? Lin Feng didn't understand. Qi Datong said, "The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge is jointly organized by the Time Virtual Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance. The 7th Mercenary Alliance's traditional promotion mechanism starts from 1 star. Even if you're a divine master, you need to accumulate missions to advance. It's very troublesome." Lin Feng knew. Accumulating mission quotas was very trivial. Qi Datong nodded. Therefore, if you participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, even if you can survive for 1 year, the 7th Mercenary Alliance will give you a star rank corresponding to your strength. This will save you a lot of time. Lin Feng suddenly understood. So, Senior Wu only completed the minimum standard? Lin Feng smiled. It's the primary standard. Wu Sanjian couldn't help but defend himself. Lin Feng smiled apologetically. He had a rough understanding. With Senior Wu's strength, he could only complete the primary standard. The difficulty could be imagined. Qi Datong said, "The death rate of the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge is lower. If you only complete the minimum standard, the survival rate can reach more than 10%. 10%? Lin Feng was surprised. If the minimum standard was only 10% and the primary standard was even higher, the death rate could be imagined. I personally suggest that you participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge," Qi Datong said seriously. "Firstly, the death rate is within a controllable range. Secondly, little brother, you only need to earn 1,000 cosmos crystals. Thirdly, you can be like Lord Wu and directly obtain a star rank, saving a lot of time. Of course, the final decision is still up to you." Chapter 2301. I'll participate in the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge. Lin Feng quickly made his decision. Although he liked one-on-one duels, the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge was the most suitable for him. After all, his first goal was the Milky Way super black hole. It was safer to participate in the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge. Just as Senior Qi had said, if he wanted to become a mercenary, participating in the Time Void Domain Survival Challenge would save him a lot of time. Qi Datong nodded. He had seen many experts of the younger generation who thought they were extraordinary. They tried to be brave and challenge the underground king of the god's slaughtering grounds, but they all died because they never knew how terrifying the next opponent would be. There was always a higher mountain. The underground king god killing field was open to the entire Xing Feng astral sector and thousands of universe countries. Are you going back to Yun Xan universe country? Wu Sanjian looked at Qi Datong. You can choose not to, but we still have a job to do. Qi Datong said, but it's not too far to go back to Yun Xan universe country. We can finish this job. Then I'll leave him to you, Wu Sanjian said. Qi Datong nodded. Okay, I promise. Okay. Wu Sanjian glanced at Lin Feng and didn't say anything. Like a flying sword, he disappeared without a trace. He came like the wind and left like the wind. Qi Datong sighed and looked at Lin Feng. Do you still want to repair it? The West Eel had been repaired, but it was damaged in the battle with Lord God Lan Ting. No need, Lin Feng said. There was no need to waste any more time. After all, the crisis had been resolved. Qi Datong nodded. The Earthbone 7 series is still a spaceship in Yun Xian universe country, but it's a child's toy in Xing Feng astral sector. Go there and buy a new one. Okay. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. A child's toy? That was true. Lord God Lan Ting was a supreme being in Yun Xian universe country, but in front of Wu Sanjian, he was like an ant. But Wu Sanjian was only a member of the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company. Above the Steel Bone Division were the Soldier Division, the General Division, and the King Division. Even when he participated in the Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge, he had only passed the basic standard and was only slightly better than the lowest standard. With his pride, if he had the confidence to persevere, he would not give up. Xingfeng Astral Realm. Lin Feng's anticipation grew. This was the competitiveness and ambition that seeped into his bones. He wanted to become stronger. They left the Milky Way super black hole. Lin Feng had already used the Bermuda Triangle to set the spatial coordinates, ensuring that he could return at any time. As for Demon God Li Shi, who was outside the Milky Way super black hole, they didn't care about him for the time being. Although he had made a breakthrough in his battle with God Lord Lanting Pavilion, he had only just broken through, so there was a limit to how much his battle power could increase. He still needed a long time to stabilize it. Demon God Li Shi had been a peak heavenly god for a long time. His strength was one of the best among the peak heavenly gods, and he was not easy to kill. Perhaps he could defeat him, but if he didn't have absolute confidence, it was very likely that he would let him escape. By then, with the size of Yun Xian Cosmic Nation, it would be difficult to find them again. The next time I come back, when I have the ability to deal with the super galaxy black hole, I will have enough power to deal with Demon God Li Shi. Lin Feng was not in a hurry, and neither was Jian. They had already waited for 1 billion years. Why would they care about 100,000 years? Senior Qi, how much can these two ships sell for? Lin Feng had also snatched the Zenith ship left behind by Lan Ting God Master. It adds up to 5 cosmos crystals. Qi Datong reported the price without hesitation. He was in this line of work, so he was very clear. Lan Ting God Master's ship has been modified. There are many parts that can be taken apart, so it can sell for a bit more. However, I don't think many people in Yun Xian Cosmic Nation would dare to buy it. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. True, who would dare to buy Lan Ting God Master's ship? Wouldn't that be courting death? I'll help you deal with these two ships. Give me 5 cosmos crystals to clear the maintenance fee. Qi Datong said to Lin Feng, one matter at a time, follow the company's procedures. Okay. Lin Feng replied. However, I don't have many cosmos crystals here. Senior Qi, take a look and see if there's anything you can use to cover the cost. After which, he handed over the West Eel mercenary group's belongings to Qi Datong. He had let his AI estimate that the miscellaneous items on the West Eel mercenary group, including the scattered cosmos crystals, were worth about 5 cosmos crystals. It should be enough to cover the maintenance fee. Chi Datong quickly calculated. All the items here add up to about 5 cosmos crystals. When we reach Yun Xian Cosmic Nation, I don't think you'll have time to exchange them. Give them all to me. After deducting the maintenance fee, there's still 3 cosmos crystals left. Take them. Chi Datong took out 3 perfect cosmos crystals, which contained incomparably pure cosmos energy. Many thanks, Senior Chi. Lin Feng kept them. He knew that the treasures of the West Eel mercenary group were definitely worth less than 5 cosmos crystals. Including the 2 ships, they probably wouldn't even be worth 5 cosmos crystals. It was very likely that Senior Chi had given them to him. A rose given to others would leave a lingering fragrance in the hand. Lin Feng didn't refuse. Since Senior Chi had already taken them out, he wouldn't take them back. Some good intentions should be accepted, as long as he remembered them. In the future, if he had the ability, he would repay this favor 100 times over. The one who truly saved his life wasn't Wu Sanjian, but Senior Chi. So, the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company's ship was extremely fast. It only took them 26 years to arrive, so naturally it would only take them 26 years to return. Compared to the West Eel, the Zenith ship was much slower. While the ship docked, the interstellar personnel saw the Steel Bone logo and respectfully stood on both sides to welcome them. This is Yun Xian Cosmic Nation's Emperor Star System. Chi Datong said slowly, "We're going to the 7th Mercenary Alliance's base." The 7th Mercenary Alliance? Lin Feng followed Chi Datong and stepped out of the ship. Chi Datong nodded. The 7th Mercenary Alliance's footprints are all over the Peak Star world. They have a base in every universe country. Lin Feng didn't quite understand. According to the West Eel's information, it only vaguely mentioned the Mercenary Alliance, but it didn't go into detail. He originally thought it was just a loose alliance, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. How many mercenary alliances are there in the Peak Star world? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Of course there's only one. Chi Datong said. One? Lin Feng was surprised. I thought there was a first mercenary alliance, a second mercenary alliance, and so on. Chi Datong laughed involuntarily. No, its name is like that, although I don't know why it's called that. However, the 7th Mercenary Alliance's power in the Peak Star world is even greater than our Steel Bone Universe Company. This was the first time Lin Feng heard of this. But Senior Chi, shouldn't I be participating in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge now? Why are we at the 7th Mercenary Alliance's base? Lin Feng didn't understand. Chapter 2302. It's nothing, I'm just familiar with this place. Chi Datong walked in front with a 5-star mercenary badge on his chest. He would be at the top of the pyramid in Yun Xian universe. Lin Feng followed beside him. The mercenaries in the base all stepped back when they saw Chi Datong, not only because he was a 5-star mercenary, but also because he was a member of the Steel Bone Universe Spaceship Company. His strength and status were all outstanding. Although I joined the Steel Bone Universe Spaceship Company as a normal maintenance worker, I don't want to be a maintenance master, spaceship maker or spaceship technology researcher. Chi Datong looked around. His fiery red hair was filled with fighting spirit. He was very determined. I also want to be a combat member, join the army, the military, or even the general department. If you want to become strong, talent and resources alone are not enough. Connections, opportunities, and tempering are all indispensable. Joining the 7th Mercenary Alliance and becoming a mercenary is the best choice. Because it is a loose alliance, there are no requirements for warriors. It doesn't matter if you are an evil person or a member of a certain power. The Mercenary Association only has mercenaries of various stars. They accept and carry out missions, solo missions, group missions, and all sorts of missions. Not only can you make a lot of friends there, you can also receive all sorts of missions to temper yourself. If you're lucky, you can even obtain extraordinary opportunities. Lin Feng listened carefully. He could hear that Senior Qi had a lot of respect for the Mercenary Alliance, and it was true. Joining the Steelbone Universe Spaceship Company would give Senior Qi a good platform, but the problem was that Senior Qi was a non-combat member. He joined as a maintenance worker. The resources he received were much lesser, so it would be harder for him to increase his strength. He was all alone, in a situation where he didn't know anything. Becoming a mercenary was undoubtedly the best choice. Just like what Senior Qi said, he could come in contact with all kinds of strong warriors in the Xingfeng astral world. Through missions, he could quickly understand the Xingfeng astral world's information and various powers. Seems like I made the right choice to join the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, Lin Feng thought. Even if he didn't join the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, he would still become a mercenary, starting from 1 star to train himself. Just the missions alone would take a lot of time. But now, he only needed to participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, and he would be able to get there in one go. The Time Virtual Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance have their own bases in Yun Xin Cosmic Nation. It's not difficult to find them. Qi Datong said, the Time Void Boundary Survival Challenge is jointly organized by these two giants, so if you want to participate, you can go directly to their encampments. There is a teleportation portal to the star boundary of the Lian Tong Peak. You can reach there directly. Lin Feng suddenly understood. Free. It's not free either. Based on one's strength, it costs about 1 to 10 cosmos crystals. Every year, everyone fights over the quota. Qi Datong said, if you want to teleport to the Xingfeng star realm normally, it costs 100 cosmos crystals. So expensive. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. 100 cosmos crystals could purchase the most ordinary elementary heavenly Dao true treasure. It can't be helped. Monopoly. Qi Datong said, the entire Xingfeng astral realm space transmission is controlled by the big shot space 30,000 worlds. They set the price however they want. If you don't want to use it, you can go to the wormhole and slowly enjoy your space travel. Even if I don't get lost, I probably won't be able to reach the Xingfeng astral realm in my lifetime. Lin Feng said. Qi Datong nodded. So even if the strong warriors of the various universe countries want to enter the Xingfeng astral realm, they are powerless. No matter how hard they try, they can't avoid the 5 giants. 5 giants? Lin Feng was curious. Are they more powerful than the Steelbone Universe Ship Company? Qi Datong said, once you enter the Xingfeng astral realm, you will know that the Steelbone Universe Ship Company does have some power in the various universe countries. Treasure's Palace and Weapons Sky Manor are the same. However, they can only be considered big powers in the astral realm, not giant. In the Xingfeng astral realm, there are only 5 that can be called giant. Lin Feng murmured, Space 30,000 Worlds, Time Virtual Company, Murdering God Tower. Qi Datong nodded. There's also the Universe Bank and the 7th Mercenary Alliance. They were unknown within the various universe countries, yet they were all imperceptibly influencing everything, without making a sound. For example, the Universe Bank, all the banks in the universe countries are under their jurisdiction. In terms of wealth, they are the wealthiest in the Xingfeng astral realm. Lin Feng understood. It's equivalent to a head office. Qi Datong said, for example, the 7th Mercenary Alliance, all the mercenary alliances in the universe countries are under their jurisdiction. The Space 30,000 Worlds teleportation pathways are spread throughout every universe country. The Time Virtual Company's various virtual equipment has been used by every strong warrior. The Murdering God Tower is hidden underground, so very few people know about it. The 5 giants are all huge existences in the Xingfeng astral realm. If you can join one of them, then that's a huge opportunity. We're here. Lin Feng was thinking about Qi Datong's words when he suddenly stopped. Unknowingly, they had already arrived in front of a heavily guarded base. The workers stood in neat rows, not a single hair out of place. Their uniforms reflected the same logo. Space 30,000 Worlds? Lin Feng was surprised. No, they aren't. Qi Datong glanced at Lin Feng. These are just the external workers, including the manager here. They aren't real members of the Space 30,000 World. Just like our company's battle personnel, before they enter the military department, they are only candidates. Only after passing a strict test, through life and death situations, can they enter the military department. Only then can they be considered real members of the company. Lin Feng was enlightened. Manager He. Master Qi. Qi Datong walked towards a well-dressed middle-aged man. The two were obviously old acquaintances. They shook hands and smiled like old friends reuniting. After chatting for a while, Manager He looked over and sized up Lin Feng. He nodded lightly. According to the rules, joining the Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge requires a strength test. However, since you're recommended by Master Qi, you don't have to go through that. Manager He smiled. Although the quota for this 100 years is already full, it doesn't matter. Follow me. Lin Feng looked at Qi Datong. Qi Datong nodded. Go ahead. Manager He will arrange it for you. Okay. Lin Feng smiled gratefully. I will never forget the kindness of saving my life. Wait for my return, Senior Qi. Qi Datong revealed a rare smile. Okay. Be careful. After waving goodbye, Lin Feng followed Manager He into the base. There were still many good people in this world. Even if they met by chance, they would still help you, just like Senior Qi. Lin Feng was deeply grateful to Senior Qi. Chapter 2303. The Survival Challenge of the Time Virtual Domain, to the warriors of the Xing Feng Star World, was indeed a huge challenge. However, to the elites of the universe countries, it was more of a convenient way to enter the Xing Feng Star World. As long as they could get a slot, even the most expensive one would only require 10 universe crystals. Compared to the huge 100 universe crystals required for the space teleportation channel, it was just a drop in the ocean. Not to mention some super elites that only required 1 universe crystal. The final price depends on the person, but it's not up to me. It's up to the Time Virtual Domain Company's AI to decide. Manager He said, generally speaking, the stronger you are, the more levels you can skip, and the younger you are, the less universe crystals you require. Normally, this is also considered the first AI test. The warriors that require less universe crystals usually have higher potential and a higher chance of passing. Lin Feng nodded, understood. The slots are simple. Old Qi has already spoken to me. Every year during the first AI test, half of the warriors that require the most universe crystals will be eliminated. Of course, I know which half will be eliminated. Manager He smiled. Thank you Manager He for your help. Lin Feng thanked him. It's nothing, I don't have any relationship with old Qi. Manager He said, however, friendship is friendship, you have to be responsible for the universe crystals. 1 to 10 universe crystals? Lin Feng said. Manager He nodded. Did you bring enough? I only have 3 universe crystals on me. However, with other treasures it should be enough. Lin Feng said. Sure, if you don't have enough, find me. Manager He was very generous. Alright. Lin Feng smiled at Manager He. After leaving the Milky Way super black hole, his luck was actually quite good. Even though there were dangers, he met quite a few people. Elder Qi was needless to say. Manager He was quite a nice person, and Wu Sanjian. Actually, he's not bad either. Lin Feng thought lightly. Outside the Mercenary Alliance base, on a universe ship, Qi Datong and Wu Sanjian were talking face-to-face in a virtual fluorescent space through the virtual communication system. Settled? Wu Sanjian said. Qi Datong nodded and smiled. I didn't expect Lord Wu to care so much about a little punk. Aren't you the same? Wu Sanjian asked. I have always followed my heart, Qi Datong said. This little guy is to my liking, we are fated to be together. If I can help him, I will help him. However, I've heard that you're very methodical in your work. It seems that there's more to it than meets the eye? Wu Sanjian said, You follow your heart and I follow my interests. Simply put, it's actually a good investment. Qi Datong suddenly understood. So, sir, you think highly of this little guy's potential. Wu Sanjian said, His willpower is firm, and he doesn't panic in the face of danger. His talent is top-notch. He's merely at the peak of the deity stage, yet he managed to kill a higher heavenly deity, contend against a lower divine master, and even made a breakthrough in battle. He's definitely an unpolished gem. Qi Datong smiled and said, Most importantly, he has a pure character and knows how to repay kindness. Wu Sanjian rolled his eyes at Qi Datong. Nonsense, would you help an ingrate? Qi Datong said, The little guy is still in the dark. It's just that participating in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge is beneficial to him. It's not only a trial, but also a very good opportunity. Whether or not he succeeds depends on himself. Wu Sanjian said, Talents will always emerge. Although the chances aren't high, if there really comes a day when he can transform into a butterfly and become a fish that leaps over the dragon gate, I hope he'll remember my kindness. He will. Qi Datong was also looking forward to it. Yunshin Cosmic Nation, Mercenary Alliance's encampment. There's still about 3 months before this year's Smart Review. Stay here for a while. Director He brought Lin Feng to a secluded valley. There are 2 other strong warriors here. I'll bring you there when the time comes. Okay. Lin Feng scanned the surroundings. There was a small bridge over flowing water, and birds were chirping and flowers were fragrant. It wasn't a good environment for cultivation, but it was a good living environment. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. There was nothing to be picky about. Don't worry, the Smart Review is just a process. The final selection is in my hands. Director He patted Lin Feng's shoulder and smiled. The worst result of the review is 10 cosmos crystals. I won't be the one accepting it, so just be prepared. I'll pick you up later. Okay. Lin Feng watched as Director He left. He scanned the area with his aura. Just as Director He said, there were 2 other strong warriors living here. They were probably like Senior Qi and had asked Director He to cut the queue through the back door. Normally, the Mercenary Alliance only had 5,000 slots every year. It was quite tight. According to Director He, the quota for the past 100 years had been filled. How many strong warriors were there in the Exian Universe Nation? It was hard to estimate. Even if one only counted the Heaven God warriors, it would be an astronomical figure. After all, to a universe nation, normal heaven gods were as numerous as the hairs on a cow. Only peak heaven gods could be considered strong. As for master god warriors, they stood at the peak of the Exian universe nation. Let's go and say hello. When Lin Feng sensed the 2 strong warriors, he was also sensed at the same time. After all, he was just scanning the area with his aura. In the mountain forest manner. A man and a woman, 2 young strong warriors, were sparring. The man was dressed in golden armor and held a sharp sword in his hand. A bloodline mark could be seen clearly on his forehead. One look and one could tell that he was from a wealthy family. His handsome face was arrogant. He would say from time to time, "Faster with your sword. This move is starting to look good. You've improved. You don't have enough strength. Your footsteps are too messy." The handsome man was guiding a delicate and cute young girl. She looked very young, but she had already grown into a graceful and elegant girl. One look and one could tell that she was a beauty. Her treasured sword and battle armor were also heavenly Tao treasures. Her background was not poor. In terms of strength, The handsome man was a peak heaven god. The cute girl was only a middle heaven god. Hello. Lin Feng smiled and greeted them. My name is Lin Feng. Clang. Their swords clashed and the two separated. The handsome man held his sword with his hands behind his back. There was a hint of arrogance between his eyebrows. Another one. Hello, I'm Man Air, Ing Man Air. The cute girl, Ing Man Air, bounced to Lin Feng's side and smiled sweetly. He is brother Yu Sunday. Brother Yu Sun is very powerful. His father is a divine master. Oh. Lin Feng nodded. No wonder he was so arrogant. He had a powerful background. There were only a few divine master in the entire Yun Xin cosmic nation. One could count them with two hands. However, no matter how powerful his background was, it had nothing to do with Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. He didn't pay any more attention to him. There was no point in trying to flatter him. Brother Lin Feng, your strength is similar to mine. Maybe we can enter the emptiness realm at the same time. Ing Man Air said excitedly. She was very happy. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Ing Man Air was the same as him. They were both Middle Heaven God life forms. Chapter 2304. That's not necessarily true. Yu Sun's gaze swept past Lin Feng, carrying a trace of faint contempt. The Time Virtual Company's AI can clearly distinguish the true strength range of every martial artist. A mid-heavenly god might not necessarily be the second time virtual realm, it could also be the first time virtual realm. Ing Man gently covered her mouth, her big eyes filled with surprise. Yu Sun smiled faintly. Don't worry, Man. With your strength, entering the second time virtual realm won't be a problem. Lin Feng smiled knowingly. There were a total of 7-time virtual realm participating in the challenge, which were suitable for lower heavenly god, mid-heavenly god, upper heavenly god, peak heavenly god, lower heavenly god, mid-heavenly god, and upper heavenly god. The second time virtual realm meant that one's combat strength was assessed as mid-heavenly god. As for peak heavenly god experts, they didn't need to be tested at all because even in Xing Feng's star boundary, peak heavenly god experts were the top talents that the big forces would fight over. Brother Lin Feng, which sect do you belong to? Ing Man asked. True Dragon Sovereign. Lin Feng replied. Ing Man looked at Yu Sun, who sneered. Never heard of it. It must be a small sect. Ing Man pursed her red lips and said softly to Lin Feng, Brother Lin Feng, go and ask Brother Yu Sunday. If he is willing to help you, even if it's only for 3 months, your strength will increase a lot. Yu Sun sneered, his hands clasped behind his back and his head held high. No need, I will be fine after meditating for a while. Thank you. Lin Feng smiled and said to Ing Man. Yu Sun snorted and looked into the distance. Don't waste your breath. Man Air, he and I are not related to each other. Why should I help him? Besides, if a middle heavenly god can enter the first emptiness realm of time, he is actually lucky. Oh right. Ing Man clapped her hands and reacted. Then you will only be competing with lower heavenly god. Brother Yu, can I also enter the first time virtual realm? Can I preserve my strength during the test? You're thinking too much. That's the artificial intelligence of the Time Virtual Company. No matter how deeply you hide, it will know. Yu Sun said, instead of playing petty tricks, why don't you seize the time and continue cultivating? Come, big brother, you will accompany you. Yeah. Ing Man nodded and stuck out her tongue at Lin Feng. Then Man is going to cultivate. Brother Lin Feng, you can find a place to cultivate, anywhere is fine. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. His gaze landed on the 2 treasured swords clashing. He then turned around and left. Peak of the heavenly deity realm? Lin Feng smiled indifferently, far inferior to Senior Qi. Although Senior Qi was not a combatant, he was still from the Steel Bone Spaceship Company. Although Yu Sun was from a prestigious family, Yun Xin Cosmic Nation was still a far cry from the Steel Bone Spaceship Company. His body is ordinary, and his sword art is ordinary. He only relies on excellent sword moves and heavenly Tao cardinal treasures. Lin Feng did not take Yu Sun seriously. With his current strength, killing a peak heavenly god like Yu Sun was a piece of cake. Cultivation was extremely precious to Lin Feng right now. He had just made a breakthrough in his life rating and many things needed to be stabilized and improved, especially the second heaven of light and darkness. This was not only related to his life rating but also to his combat power. He had just made a breakthrough and already had the strength of a peak heavenly god. Coupled with the improvement of his physical body and the sublimation of the black vortex, his life rating had reached that of a middle-level heavenly god. Lin Feng's current combat power was increasing rapidly as his strength stabilized. In 3 months, I should be close to or even reach the combat power of a low-level heavenly god. Even if I'm not as good as God Lord Lanting, I won't be too far off. Lin Feng had a clear understanding of his own strength. He had fought with God Lord Lanting and knew that as his realm and life rating stabilized, he was confident that he could reach the combat power of a low-level heavenly god, even if it was only for 3 months. After all, this did not require too much sublimation of his realm. According to the 10,000 heaven path, comprehending the second heaven of light and darkness is equivalent to a level 6 heavenly Tao space secret technique and has the strength of a peak heavenly god. I can surpass it in all aspects, and the second heaven of light and darkness can still be improved. The more I improve, the better. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge requires sufficient combat power to survive and fight for it. It's not just the lowest standard. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. He had no fear, no matter how high the mortality rate was. The lowest standard was a survival rate of 10%. A single universe country had more than 10,000 experts. Could it be that he could not even squeeze into the top 1,000? Lin Feng was still confident in this point. However, compared to the underground king slaughtering Godfield, it was very difficult to hide one's strength. This was because before entering the Time Void realm, the AI would test the range of one's strength. What kind of strength was what kind of Time Void realm one would enter? 3 months quickly passed. During this time, Yu Sun did not come even once. However, Ing Man would occasionally come to Lin Feng. Lin Feng had a good impression of this simple-minded girl and became friends with her. To Ing Man Lin Feng was much closer than Yu Sunday. Perhaps it was because of their similar age and strength, they were more familiar with each other. However, this made Yu Sun somewhat unhappy. It's almost here. Ing Man was somewhat anxious and nervous. She stuck her head out and looked outside from time to time. It's just a routine test. Yu Sun raised the corner of his mouth. He put his hands behind his back and said arrogantly, "Only those who got the ordinary quota would worry about being filtered out due to poor results. We have Director He's recommendation, so we don't need to worry. But if the results are not good, it will still be very embarrassing." Ing Man blushed. She was afraid that the AI would judge that 10 cosmos crystals appeared. Even if it had nothing to do with the quota, it would still be very embarrassing in front of everyone. Yu Sun smiled faintly. "Don't worry, man. With me helping you to improve your sword technique, you have made great progress in this half a year. You are already considered one of the best among the intermediate heavenly gods. The AI test won't be too bad. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, I will still be able to advance and enter the Time Void realm. Right, Lin Feng?" Lin Feng smiled, right? Yu Sun curled his lips. Lin Feng didn't have any reaction when he ridiculed him like this. He originally wanted to use his peak heavenly god power to suppress Lin Feng and show off, but he ended up asking for a snub. Suddenly, Yu Sun's eyes brightened. He said hastily, "Director, he is here." Ing Man-er's beautiful eyes immediately brightened. She clenched her fists tightly and looked forward to it. 2 figures quickly appeared in front of them. One of them was none other than Manager He. Beside him was a young man with short hair and a scar on his face. He had icy blue hair and a cold face. His face was filled with killing intent, and he looked like a terrifying iceberg. His life force was strong and not inferior to Yusun's. However, his killing intent and aura completely overshadowed Yusun's. Everyone is here. Let's go. Director, he smiled. Chapter 2305. Yunshin Universe Nation, Mercenary Alliances Encampment. On the huge square, 10,000 strong people of varying abilities gathered together and waited patiently. Every year, the Mercenary Alliance and Time Virtual Company each had 5,000 slots. In total, 10,000 strong people would head to Xingfeng Astral World to participate in the Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge. They were all elite strong people with great backgrounds. They were the cream of the crop in Yunshin Universe Nation. Swish, the light door at the entrance flashed and all the strong people focused on it. Director, he walked at the front with Lin Feng and the other three behind him. Facing the gazes of 10,000 strong people, Yusun raised his head proudly with his hands behind his back. He was arrogant as if he looked down on everyone. On the other hand, Ingman Er's face was red and her body was tight. She was shy and nervous. She clenched her fists and her palms were sweating. Lin Feng was calm. He glanced at the short-haired young man with a scar. He had ice-blue hair and cold but sharp eyes. He was constantly emitting a terrifying murderous aura. He definitely had a powerful background. Just like Yusun, he was also a peak heavenly god expert, but he was much younger. Swish! The short-haired young man stared at Lin Feng like a wolf king full of murderous intent. "Hello, I'm Lin Feng," Lin Feng introduced with a smile. The short-haired young man frowned. His scar trembled. He opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. He didn't seem to be good at communicating. He turned his head and looked away. "He's Wuemo. He doesn't like to talk." Director He's voice came from the front. Lin Feng nodded. "You guys stay here. I'll announce your names when the test starts. Just come up and complete the test. You don't have to care about the results," Director He said. As a director, he had this little power. Lin Feng and the other three answered. They found a place near the front and waited for the Time Virtual Company's test to start. There are quite a lot of people. Lin Feng looked around. Most of them were middle and upper-level heaven gods. There weren't many lower-level heaven gods and even fewer pinnacle heaven gods. There weren't any god masters. Every year there will be 10,000. 5,000 will be selected and half will be eliminated. Crossing his arms, Yusun said proudly, "Most of them came here through the competitions of various star zones. Some of them bought places directly, but the price was quite high." "Are we sure we can pass, brother Yu?" Ingman asked nervously. Yusun smiled confidently. "That goes without saying. We're different from them. They're fighting for half the chance. No, to be precise, they're fighting for 4,996 spots. Us? Haha, it's just a formality." Ingman heaved a sigh of relief and patted her chest. Wu Mo's expression was still cold, as if nothing had anything to do with him. Lin Feng didn't care. His goal was to pass the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. If he couldn't even get half of this chance, what was the point of participating? Who are they? Manager, he brought him in personally. He's definitely not simple. You don't know? The four of them are internally selected. They're warriors who will definitely pass the test. Don't be so surprised. This is normal. There are many internally selected warriors among us who have a 100% chance of passing. It's just that the four of them cut the queue and have stronger backgrounds. It's not fair. Everyone came in with a spot. Why are they sure they'll pass the test? Childish. There's no such thing as fairness in this world. Everyone is born differently and has different bloodline talent. The heavens are unfair. If you have the ability, go and reincarnate into a better body. Don't talk nonsense here. Don't be discouraged. If you have real talent, the AI shows that the cost is less than 5 cosmos crystals. You'll be able to pass directly. Every year, these warriors make up 20 to 30% of the total. If it's more than 5 cosmos crystals, it'll depend on your luck. Good luck. Everyone was whispering. These 10,000 warriors were all dragons and phoenixes among men. They were the elites of the elites in the Xin universe nation. They either had strong backgrounds or great potentials. They stood out from the competition. This wasn't the first time the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge was held. Some things were already transparent. If the water was too clear, there would be no fish. Everyone knew this clearly. Looking at Lin Feng and the other three, other than envy and jealousy, what else could they feel? Who asked them to not have a strong background? Following the arrival of General Manager He, who presided over the situation, the many workers of the Mercenary Alliance were quickly prepared. General Manager He took out the AI machine he borrowed from the Time Virtual Company. Instantly, the gazes of the warriors gathered. An uproar. This was the first time the 10,000 warriors saw the AI machine from the Time Virtual Company. Lin Feng was also curiously sizing it up. It was an oval-shaped light ball cabin made of transparent materials. It was incomparably huge, like a space capsule. Beams of light were mixed with strange engravings, causing the entire light ball cabin to emit a strange sense of beauty. Schwa! The light ball cabin opened. The number on the side jumped to 10, which represented 10 cosmos crystals. Those who hear the name, come up. Those with the green light, enter the space tunnel in front. Those with the yellow light, leave the candidates to be determined. Those with the red light leave. General Manager He's voice reverberated in the plaza. Lin Feng nodded. Previously, Ingman had mentioned to him that the green light meant that one had to pay less than 5 cosmos crystals. The smaller the number, the higher the potential ability. Obtaining the Time Virtual Company's AI recognition, one would pass the first round of tests. Those with the yellow light meant that they had to pay between 5 to 10 cosmos crystals. Candidates to be determined, General Manager He would personally choose the remaining spots. As for those with the red light, it meant that they didn't meet the basic requirements and would be eliminated. However, General Manager He still had some privileges. The 4 of them wouldn't have the red light. Even if they didn't meet the requirements, they would only have the yellow light. The highest amount of cosmos crystals they had to pay was 10 cosmos crystals. Ingman General Manager He was the first to shout. Hua! Her face flushed red. Ingman nervously appeared in front of the light ball cabin and stepped in. Very quickly, beams of light flashed. In just a moment, the yellow light lit up. The display by the side showed a number. 8. The light ball cabin door opened. Ingman walked out with a red face. The surroundings were filled with discussions. Even though 8 cosmos crystals wasn't considered high, it wasn't low either. After all, there were still 9 and 10 lower than it. The amount of cosmos crystals paid didn't have decimals. It was just a round number. 8 cosmos crystals wasn't considered bad. Amongst the 10,000 warriors waiting to be tested, it was in the middle to lower tier. Under normal circumstances, Ingman chances of being selected wasn't high. However, since it was decided internally, there wouldn't be any problems. Next, Sunday, General Manager He's voice sounded. Watch me. Sun raised his head and smiled confidently at Ingman. His figure flashed and entered the light ball cabin door. The surroundings were filled with discussions. Very quickly, the yellow light lit up again. The display showed different numbers. Chapter 2306. Ingman covered her mouth as her eyes were filled with surprise. The number 10 was clearly displayed on the display screen. It was very eye-catching, and the surrounding people sneered. They all knew that the people in front of them were all martial artists who had secretly decided to pass the test. They all had very strong backgrounds. However, as to how strong they were, that was a matter of opinion. So it's like that. Haha, they're so lame. They actually paid the highest amount. Not necessarily. It's possible that they didn't pass because they have special privileges. Sigh, it's good to have a strong backing. You can buy your way in. What's the use of that? This is the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. Buy your way in? Hee hee, the elites from the various universe countries will teach you a lesson. Idiot, you don't have any strength at all. How dare you participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge? What a disgrace. The crowd burst into laughter. Everyone was already feeling indignant because of the internal selection. Now that they saw Yu Sun's weak strength, they couldn't help but ridicule him to vent their anger. The laughter continued. Yu Sun's face was pale as he returned without saying a word. His proud head was as heavy as 1,000 pounds and he couldn't lift it up. Reality was often cruel. The AI is very strict. Lin Feng judged in his heart. He knew Yu Sun's strength. Although his level wasn't high, he could barely reach the standard of a peak heaven god with the heavenly treasure. It can't be helped. He's a peak heaven god. Lin Feng smiled. Different from middle heavenly deity and upper heavenly deity, the difference in strength between heavenly deity, peak 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 heavenly Yu Sun, was only an ordinary peak heaven god. In Yun Xian cosmic nation, they might be considered outstanding, but in a group of cosmic nations, they were nothing. Compared to the peak heavenly god powerhouses in Xing Feng Astral, they were not even worth mentioning. What are you laughing at? Yu Sun was already burning with anger, and when he saw Lin Feng's faint smile, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. I don't know. They were all laughing, so I laughed too. Lin Feng smiled. Others might be afraid of Yu Sun, but he didn't care at all. Although Yu Sun's strength was 2 levels higher than his, if they really fought, in 3 moves, he would definitely take his life. Yu Sun was so angry that his face turned pale and his body trembled. His words were directly blocked. Could it be that he had to care about everyone who laughed? Don't be angry, brother Yu. The intelligence test might not be accurate. Ing Man'er said softly. It doesn't know how strong brother Yu is. When it enters the time void realm, brother Yu will be able to show off your power. Humph, that's right. How can machines be accurate? When the time comes, I'll show them my true strength. Yu Sun's handsome face was filled with fighting spirit, and his aura was vigorous. You overestimate yourself. An ice-cold voice sounded. It came from the scarred young man with icy blue hair. As Chief Steward He's voice sounded, Wu Mo's figure flashed and stepped into the light ball cabin. Yu Sun was so angry that his face turned red. He gritted his teeth and said, "This bastard, Pa!" Yu Sun's expression instantly froze. The surrounding warriors who were whispering and laughing suddenly stopped. They were all shocked. 3. Lin Feng looked at the number on the screen. It clearly showed the number 3. In front of the number 3, there was a vague number 2. It was not real but an illusion. Upper and lower range. Lin Feng knew. This was the upper and lower range of strength given by the intelligence. The stronger a warrior was, the harder it was for the intelligence to accurately judge. After all, strength was related to many aspects and not the creation of treasures. 1 was 1, 2 was 2. Paying a fee of 5 cosmos crystals, one can be considered an exceptional talent within the universe country, an outstanding warrior. 3 universe crystals means that he is 1 level above his own level. In other words, Wu Mo has the fighting power of a lower-level god master. Lin Feng was not surprised. The first time he saw Wu Mo, he knew that he was not simple. That bone-chilling killing intent, one look and he knew that he had gone through endless terrifying training. Willpower, fighting power and other aspects, he was definitely the top in the Yun Xian universe country. Who is he? So powerful! Did you see that? There was an illusion of a number 2 just now. So powerful. I heard from my master that out of the 10,000 people who take the test every year, 5 universe crystals is considered outstanding. Only 20 to 30% of them are outstanding, but most of them are 4 or 5 universe crystals. There are only 2 or 3 who are 3 universe crystals. Seems like they are not all trash. This scarred-faced young man is so powerful. He is much stronger than the luxuriously dressed rich second generation. There were sounds of shock and admiration. 3 universe crystals, there was no need to doubt the strength. Everyone present was an elite warrior of the Xian universe country. They were all dragons and phoenixes among men. Of course, they looked down on those who only had a background but no strength. At the same time, they admired those who were stronger than them. However, when these scattered words landed in Yusun's ears, they were extremely harsh and made him lose face. Especially when Wu Mo was of the same level as him, peak heavenly god. Thinking about what Wu Mo said just now, he felt even more ashamed. Overestimating himself. Wow, Wu Mo, you are so powerful. Is it brother you? Ingman was pure and innocent. She naturally did not see Yusun's ugly expression. Her beautiful eyes flashed with admiration. Yes, yes. Although Yusun was stubborn, he had to admit it. After all, he was not stupid. He clearly knew that Wu Mo's strength was far above his. Facing a stronger warrior, he would be mentally inferior. It's your turn next, brother Lin Feng. Ingman smiled and clenched her fist. Do your best. You must be as powerful as brother Wu Mo, him? Impossible. Yusun saw Ingman's expression and felt even more upset. He sneered. Even if he paid 5 universe crystals, it is because he is a middle heavenly god. His strength requirement is low. Ingman smiled and looked at Yusunde. She stuck out her tongue. Brother Lin Feng is definitely not as powerful as brother Wu Mo and brother Yu. You are both peak heavenly gods. You are very powerful. Yusun heard this and raised his head slightly. He felt much better. However, he is still young. If he starts to cultivate diligently now, after a few hundred eras, he might be as powerful as me. Yusun nodded and muttered. However, by that time, I should have broken through to become a god master. Idiot. Wu Mo's cold voice sounded again. At this moment, Lin Feng had already stepped into the light ball cabin. The green light lit up and numbers appeared on the screen outside. The plaza fell into a dead silence. Dumbfounded. Chapter 2307. 0. On the display screen, a huge 0 appeared, shocking everyone. Not only were the experts in the plaza stunned, even Chief Steward he was dumbfounded and confused. He had been the overseer for many eras. Year after year, experts were selected from this place. There were many like Wu Mo, and even the lowest payment of 1 universe crystal, he had seen it once. Hence, even though Wu Mo's test results made him happy, it was far from being shocking. However, Lin Feng's test results made him dumbfounded. What was with the 0? There was no need to pay universe crystals? But the problem was, weren't the results of the intelligence test 1 to 10 universe crystals? On the plaza, the warriors were discussing fervently. The machine is broken? It should be. Where's the number 0? Right, there must be a mistake. There must be a mistake in the test just now. How can there be a payment of 0? Impossible. 3 universe crystals is already an outstanding warrior in Xingfeng Star World. Every universe country only gets 2 or 3 every year. Everyone was suspicious. In truth, even they didn't know if it was right or wrong. I've said it before, it must be a problem with the machine. Yusun raised his head and let out a sigh of relief. The first round of tests, only 1 to 10 universe crystals, how can there be in 0? Ingman pursed her lips and asked curiously, then what if it's a warrior who is stronger than 1 universe crystal? This. Yusun was speechless. See for yourself. Wu Mo said coldly, his gaze sharp. On the display screen, other than the huge 0, there was a faint image of a 1 on the right. It was very faint, but if one looked carefully they could see it, just like the image of the one during Wu Mo's test. This represented the upper and lower range of strength. 0 to 1? Manager, he saw it too, his stern face revealing incomparable shock. His heart was in turmoil. He didn't expect that this youth Qi Datong gave him had such shocking potential. 3 universe crystals, it means a strength that surpasses 1 level. 1 universe crystal, it means a strength that surpasses 2 levels. 0 universe crystals, in other words, it means a strength that surpasses 2 levels. Manager, he was after all experienced, he quickly deduced. Looking at Lin Feng walking out of the light ball cabin, it was as if they were looking at a rising star, their hearts burning. If such a talent could survive the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge, he would definitely become the pride of Yun Xin Cosmic Nation. Manager, he naturally didn't know that Wu Sanjian had long known about Lin Feng's potential. Otherwise, he wouldn't have nurtured him. 0 to 1 Cosmos Crystal. It can't be. There's such a thing? It's the upper and lower ranges. Heavens, is the upper limit of his strength so high? Inconceivable. I've lived for a long time. There are so many monsters this year. I thought the machines were broken, but it turns out that they've gone berserk. Oh my God, these predetermined experts are all so terrifying. The crowd was not blind. With the appearance of Shadow One, all his doubts were cleared. Yu Sun's face flushed red. Everything he had just said was a slap to his face. The surrounding crowd's praises for Lin Feng, and their affirmation of him being a predetermined expert, made him feel even more ashamed. They were both numbers 0 and 1, but the difference between them was like heaven and earth. If there was a crack in the ground, Yu Sun couldn't wait to crawl into it. He looked down and couldn't focus, his expression extremely ugly. You're so powerful, big brother Lin Feng. Ying Man ran over like a little rabbit. Her sparkling and translucent eyes were filled with admiration, as if they were twinkling stars. Different from Wu Mo, Ying Man and Lin Feng were already familiar with each other, and they were both middle heavenly gods. Now that Lin Feng had achieved such a shocking result, Ying Man-er's heart was greatly moved, and her heart was beating wildly. It's luck. Lin Feng smiled modestly. In the distance there was a pair of eyes filled with killing intent, like that of a wolf king watching him. Wu Mo, I will defeat you. A cold voice sounded. Wu Mo brushed past him and walked towards the space tunnel in front of him. Experts who passed the green light would be able to enter directly. The reason why he didn't leave just now was that Wu Mo wanted to know how Lin Feng's test results were. As an assassin, he had already felt the threat from Lin Feng the first time they met. Now that he had seen it, his intuition was indeed not wrong. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. Looking at Wu Mo's back, he didn't say anything. He wasn't in a hurry to enter the space tunnel, after all, he still had to wait. He might as well stay and see if there were any other experts in Yun Xin Cosmic Nation. Perhaps he would meet them in the virtual realm of time of the top-notch artificial intelligence? Everyone around him looked at him strangely. There were envy, reverence, and all kinds of gazes. Lin Feng didn't care. He had seen such situations many times, and he was already used to it. He chatted with the excited Ying Man and watched the 10,000 experts from Yun Xin Cosmic Nation compete for the 5,000 spot. He was in a leisurely mood. The test was carried out in an orderly manner. With Lin Feng's results being a gem in front, the results of the experts behind him were naturally not enough. Originally, 4 or 5 cosmos crystals were already considered not bad, enough to cause a round of cheers. But this year, it was a pitiful result, and no one cared. This was because they couldn't be compared to Lin Feng's result. Including the 2 experts who had the same results as Wu Mo with 3 universe crystals, they only attracted a little attention. One of them was a middle-level heavenly god, and the other was an upper-level heavenly god. In terms of quality, they couldn't be compared to Wu Mo. I'll go first. See you then. As the dust of the test settled, Lin Feng said goodbye to Ing Man and walked towards the space tunnel. As for Yu Sun, he didn't need to care about him. He wouldn't go to the extent of being snubbed. Not everyone could become friends with him. Yu Sun, who was behind her, had an awkward expression. Seeing Ing Man's reluctant gaze, he felt as if his heart was being pierced by needles. It's just one universe, Crystal. At most, I can enter the virtual realm of time. Yu Sun snorted behind Ing Man. No matter how powerful a middle-level heavenly god is, he is still a middle-level heavenly god. At that time, I can enter the virtual realm of time. Ing Man turned her head and smiled sweetly at Yu Sunday. Big Brother Lin is so powerful, right, Big Brother Yu? Oh, maybe. Yu Sun turned his face away. Ing Man acted as if she didn't hear Yu Sun's words. She muttered to herself, he is so powerful, but he is not arrogant at all. He is amiable and approachable. Man likes him so much. Then she moaned and blushed. Her two fingers touched each other gently. I don't know what kind of girl he likes. Covering her burning face, Ing Man bit her lips gently, which was as mature as honey. I'm so embarrassed. Ing Man looked at Yu Sun and said, Don't tell Big Brother Lin, Big Brother Yu. After saying that, she held her blushing face and ran away. Yu Sun, who was stunned, was left standing in the same place. His mouth was open as if he was petrified. Chapter 2308. The 5,000 spots were decided. Half of them were given the green light and the other half were carefully selected by Manager He. Some of them were selected internally, some were close to 5 cosmos crystals, and some were other. After all, there were 7 time void realms. As the manager, he had to ensure that the number of people entering the first 4 time void realms was equal. Of course, the number of great beings entering the 4th time void realm would be the least as the difficulty was too high. As for the 5th, 6th, and 7th time void realms, under normal circumstances, no great beings from Yunshin Universe Nation would be able to enter. He is Lin Feng. Amazing, he doesn't even need to pay 1 cosmos crystal to participate in the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge. Looking at him from a close distance, he looks even younger. He is only a middle-level heaven god with unlimited potential. Lin Feng was undoubtedly the center of attention. After all, he was the best in the first round. Among the 5,000 great beings, only 3 paid 3 cosmos crystals. None paid 1 cosmos crystal or 2 cosmos crystals. The gap was huge. Let me give you a brief introduction. We will go to the Time Virtual Company and meet up with their 5,000 great beings. Then, we will go through the space tunnel and head to Xingfeng Astral Sector. Manager He glanced around and his gaze finally fell on Lin Feng. Initially, he thought Wu Mo would be the best, but now it was undoubtedly Lin Feng. As he spoke, he couldn't help but look at Lin Feng. We still have to meet up? Ah, so the Time Virtual Company also has a quota. Of course, but I heard that they are all selected internally. It is very difficult to enter. This year, they definitely won't be as outstanding as us. Lin Feng here is too awesome. He paid 0 cosmos crystals. He is probably the best in Xingfeng Astral Sector. He blinded me. TSK, what's so great about him? He is only a middle-level heaven god. Some were envious and some were jealous. Lin Feng naturally couldn't care less about other people's mouth. After listening to Manager He talk about the next itinerary, what followed was a long wait. The 7-time Void Realm Survival Challenge were all at the Time Virtual Company in Xingfeng Astral Sector. Hence, they had to go to the Time Virtual Company branch in Yunshin Universe Nation before teleporting. Brother Lin, many of them look at you with unkind eyes. Ing Man quietly shrank beside Lin Feng. She rolled her eyes and looked around. It's fine. Lin Feng smiled. Although the 5,000 experts on his side did not have any relationship with each other at the moment, when they entered the Time Void Realm, they would fight for themselves. If they met again, they would probably be enemies who would fight to the death. The challenge of survival was no joke. Yes. Ingman nodded obediently, but the word worry was still written on her face. You be careful too. Lin Feng said to Man Air, the time virtual realm is quite fair. People with similar fighting power will be together, so you don't need to worry about encountering a strong opponent. Try to hide as much as possible and fight less. The probability of reaching the minimum standard is still relatively high. About 10% chance. It seemed low, but it wasn't. Because most warriors would fight each other when they entered the time void realm, the mortality rate was high. Generally speaking, if one reached the lowest standard, as long as they were careful, every warrior would have a chance. I will, Brother Lin. Ingman nodded heavily. They looked at each other and smiled. Lin Feng nodded lightly. They knew each other, so he naturally hoped that Ingman could come out alive. In fact, her strength was not bad. After all, she had 2 heavenly treasures. If she could make good use of them, it shouldn't be a big problem. As for himself, he definitely would not enter the time void realm at the same time as Ingman. Logically speaking, it should be the 4th void realm. Lin Feng calculated in his heart. With my strength entering the 4th void realm, my experience might not be comparable to the old people who have already been inside, but my fighting power is comparable. Let's see what standard I can reach. The higher the better. The higher the standard, the greater the reward. 1,000 universe crystals was not a lot, but it was not a small amount either. At least it was not something that could be repaid with the basic standard. In the midst of the conversation, Manager he quickly completed the procedures and led the 5,000 elite experts from Yunshin Universe Country to the Emperor Galaxy Time Virtual Company's encampment. The journey was not far. They were all in the same galaxy. With the 7th Mercenary Alliance's spaceship, they arrived in a few days. Vast and mighty, densely packed. When the 5,000 experts saw the other 5,000 experts, their eyes were filled with hostility. Manager he this way please. The person in charge of the Time Virtual Company was a smiling old man with a white beard. With one look, one could tell that he had experience and was much younger than Manager he. Master Hao is still as elegant as ever. Manager he smiled and replied, gesturing to the experts. After which, the 10,000 experts formed a long line and entered the Time Virtual Company's exclusive space pathway. I heard that Manager he has a super newbie this time? Old Hao smiled and stroked his beard. You can say that. Manager he smiled casually. Actually it's nothing much. It's just that I haven't been in this position for long. Hence, I'm a little ignorant. Master Hao, you definitely know more about this than me. The test's AI was from the Time Virtual Company. The results were naturally transparent. The 5,000 experts of the Time Virtual Company did not hide anything. The results were clearly visible. Similarly, there was a fighter who didn't have 1 universe crystal. However, there was a pinnacle sky god who paid 2 universe crystals. However, compared to Lin Feng, he paled in comparison. Old Hao stroked his beard and smiled. In the universe country, it's indeed rare to see a fighter with 0 universe crystals. After all, the training environment and conditions in the universe country are different from the star world. However, in the Xingfeng star world, there are many who have 0 universe crystals, and they don't even have any illusions. Speaking of which, 0 universe crystals isn't a secret. Old Hao said happily, simply put, there are 3 possible combinations. Firstly, the bloodline is strong. The fighter has high potential and it's hard to raise his strength. However, because of the tyrannical bloodline, his fighting strength will be higher than his current level. Secondly, the realm is high. These are true super geniuses. They far exceed their current level. Naturally, they can raise their fighting strength by 100 times, 1,000 times, or even 10,000 times. Thirdly, powerful treasures, especially those newcomers from the Xingfeng astral boundary. Each of them has more treasures than the last, and each one is stronger than the last. If a lower heavenly deity has a suitable heavenly law treasure, they can even kill divine master expert. I've learned. Manager, he nodded. However, this usually only appears in the Xingfeng star world. Old Hao squinted his eyes and shot out a ray of light. Don't mention our Yun Xian universe country. Looking at the millions of other universe countries, there aren't many who have 0 universe crystals. He's called Lin Feng, right? Who knows, maybe our Yun Xian universe country will have an incredible fighter. With his hands behind his back, Old Hao stroked his beard and was extremely happy. Chapter 2309. Look guys, it's Lin Feng. That brat is Lin Feng, it can't be, he's so young? Right, it's him. A monster with 0 cosmos crystals. The 5,000-strong warriors selected by the Time Virtual Company all looked over. Lin Feng's score in the first round of intelligence test wasn't some secret information, it had long been spread among the geniuses of Yun Xian Universe Nation. Lin Feng received attention, causing the 5,000-strong warriors from the 7th Mercenary Alliance to feel proud. They all revealed proud expressions. Unknowingly, the 5,000-strong warriors from both sides were clearly divided, forming 2 factions. Lin Feng? Just a middle heavenly god, he's nothing. A thick and loud voice resounded. A strong bull-headed man walked out from the Time Virtual Company's side. He had brown skin, muscles like hills, eyes like copper bells, a bull nose and 2 pure black bull horns. His body was much taller than normal human warriors. He was much stronger. What are you talking about? If you have the ability, you can get 0 cosmos crystals too. Just being jealous, who doesn't know how to brag? Lin Feng's side voices resounded. He wasn't willing to be outdone. The 2 factions of warriors didn't want to give in to each other. Brag? The bull-horned beast opened his eyes wide, his nostrils flared. I, Nyoma, am jealous? Brag? Bullsh *T. I'm a pinnacle heavenly god. If I want to crush this little human, it'll be like crushing a biscuit. Saying that, the bull-horned beast, Nyoma, stretched out 2 fingers and rubbed them. The space exploded. The sound was like thunder. Brother Lin, he's the most outstanding Nyoma in the first round of the Time Virtual Company's test. Ing Man whispered from the side. There are 10,000 strong warriors here, only he paid 2 cosmos crystals. Pinnacle heavenly god, 2 cosmos crystals, no wonder he has the right to be arrogant. Lin Feng understood. If not for him, this Nyo Ma would be the most watched warrior in Yun Xian Universe Nation this year. What test score, what intelligence, it's all bullshit. Nyo Ma scolded in disdain. Only strength counts. Looking at Lin Feng with provocation and disdain, Nyo Ma laughed arrogantly. Him? Even if you cultivate for another 100 eras, you won't be able to catch up to me. I will be going to the emptiness realm of the 5th time for the 2nd test. Where is this brat going? 3rd, the emptiness realm. Ha 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 ha. Following Nyo Ma's wild laughter, the 5,000 experts on the side of the Time Virtual Company also burst into laughter. On the other hand, the 5,000 experts from the 7th Mercenary Alliance looked pale and had no way to refute. His words were crude, but his reasoning was not. A mid-heavenly deity, so what if his potential was even higher? No matter what, he couldn't compare to a peak heavenly god expert, not to mention Nyo Ma, who was an unparalleled expert even amongst peak heavenly gods. Lin Feng smiled calmly. He had never been interested in a war of words. In any case, the 2nd test would be held very soon. Using the results to prove himself was the most direct way. Stupid! An icy cold voice suddenly sounded out from within the crowd. Even though the voice wasn't heavy, yet it was like a thunderclap that clearly descended into the ears of every single expert, and it was like a slap on Mammoth Ox's face. Everyone focused their gaze. The one who spoke was the scarred youth, Wu Mo. His arms were crossed in front of his chest, and his icy blue hair was eye-catching. His peak heavenly god aura was mixed with dense killing intent, making it hard to get close to him. "What did you say?" Nyoma was furious, and his veins were exposed. His bull nose was spewing out turbid air, and his bull eyes were as big as lanterns. They were bloodshot and looked ferocious. A stupid bull. Wu Mo didn't even look at Nyoma, treating him as if he was nothing. Even if he became the target of public criticism, he was still indifferent. Even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him, his expression wouldn't change. It was as if he had already gotten used to it. Lin Feng also looked over curiously. Very strong willpower. Such an expert would be calm and composed during battle, and he wouldn't make any mistakes. Especially his aura, it was like a sharp blade that had been sharpened for a long time. He was clearly not someone to be trifled with. His intellect test was 2 to 3 cosmos crystals. It seemed like he wasn't as strong as Nyoma, but that wasn't the case. If we really fight, Nyoma will definitely lose. Lin Feng was very clear that this was an opponent that even he was afraid of. Nyoma hid his strength well, and his combat power was definitely not ordinary. On the other hand, Nyoma seemed to be showing off his strength, but he was actually a coward. Although Wu Mo was a peak heavenly god, with his strength, he could easily kill him. If they were in the time void boundary, it would be even easier. After a short rest, there were still many related procedures to complete before entering the Xing Feng astral boundary. It wasn't just 1 or 2 people going, but a total of 10,000 experts. Naturally, they would be busy. Wu Mo and Nyoma didn't like each other, but they couldn't fight. This was the time void boundary's territory, and fighting here would be courting death. The two of them were not on good terms, just like the 5,000 experts from the 7th Mercenary Alliance and the 5,000 experts from the time void boundary. Although the two sides had nothing to do with each other, they were inexplicably at odds with each other. It was purely a dispute of personal feelings. "Hey, Lin Feng!" A familiar voice came from behind. It was Yu Sun, who looked embarrassed. His eyes were looking at Lin Feng, but his pupils were slanted to the right, and he seemed to be unwilling. "Oh." Lin Feng was slightly surprised and replied. Although he didn't get along with Yu Sun, he still had to reply out of courtesy. "This." Yu Sun's face was green and white, as though he was having difficulty speaking. His mouth squirmed as though it was glued and he couldn't open his mouth. After a while, he said in a low voice, "Let's work together?" Lin Feng was surprised again. What he said just now made Yu Sun put down his pride. He looked back at Lin Feng. It takes 2 to clap. During the survival challenge, it's safest if 2 people work together. Otherwise, when we enter the time void boundary, we won't be able to compete with the experts from the Xing Feng astral boundary. Not to mention those seniors, who were already there before. Not only are they strong, but they are also very experienced. Lin Feng suddenly understood. He had heard about this before. The 10,000 experts from the Yun Xian Universe Nation were divided into the 1st to 5th time void boundary. On average, there were around 2,500 experts in each time void boundary. This was only the tip of the iceberg, as there were other experts from other universe nations. However, the experts from these universe nations were only average in terms of threat. Within the time void boundary, there were 2 factions. The first was the Xing Feng astral boundary experts. They were all elites, with stronger blood meridians, more treasures, and more methods. However, even though the experts from this faction were stronger than the experts from the universe nations, there was a limit to it. After all, everyone had gone through the top AI test and was assigned to enter. There wasn't much of a difference in strength. The truly strong ones were those who were already in the time void boundary. Every year they would enter, and only the fittest would survive. These were the elites. Not only were they elites, but they had also trained in the time void boundary, killing other elites of the same level and surviving. Many of them had already reached the lowest standard, the beginner's standard. Or even higher. This was the true threat. Chapter 23:10. What do you think, Lin Feng? Why don't we work together? Yu Sun stared at Lin Feng with his wolf-like eyes, with a hint of expectation. From Yu Sun's point of view, a peak heavenly god expert like him taking the initiative to negotiate with Lin Feng was already giving him enough face. I'm sorry. Lin Feng smiled apologetically. Although he didn't have a good impression of Yu Sun before, he found one of his strengths now: he was flexible. Even if they didn't see eye to eye before, Yu Sun could throw everything aside for the sake of benefits and goals. Yu Sun's expression changed and anger could be seen faintly. He was the son of the God Master and he lowered himself to seek cooperation with Lin Feng, but he didn't expect to be rejected. Brother Lin. Ingman couldn't bear it and looked at Lin Feng with a hint of pleading in her big watery eyes. Lin Feng said, "Cooperation is a small matter. The key is the second test of the Time Virtual Reality Company. This time, the top AI will accurately arrange for each elite to enter 7 time virtual realms. With all due respect, Yu Sun, you will most likely drop 1 level and enter the 3rd time virtual realm." Yu Sun's face turned green, but he didn't refute. He had long known that because his payment was 10 cosmos crystals, based on past examples, he would definitely be demoted by a grade. "If I enter the 3rd time virtual realm, won't you also enter the 3rd time virtual realm?" Yu Sun stared at Lin Feng with eagle-like eyes. If he dropped 1 level and Lin Feng rose 1 level, they would both enter the 3rd time virtual realm. That was why he came to seek cooperation with Lin Feng. "No, the possibility of me entering the 3rd time virtual realm is very small." Lin Feng was very certain. The 3rd time virtual realm was the range of upper heavenly god elite. In the Xing Feng astral realm, this range was slightly larger than the Yun Xin cosmic nation. After all, the average strength level was higher. However, his current combat power had already surpassed the peak of heavenly god. "I will most likely enter the 4th time virtual realm." Lin Feng looked at Yu Sunday. The latter was a little confused, and so was Ingman. Lin Feng smiled and didn't explain further. Actually, he didn't say the second half of his sentence, which was that he still had a small chance of entering 5th, the virtual realm. Get ready and set out. After a short break, under the leadership of old Hao and manager He, 10,000 powerhouses from Yun Xin cosmic nation entered the space portal and began their teleportation. As one of the 5 giants of the Xing Feng astral boundary, the Time Virtual Company had its own fixed space transportation channel, and there was no additional charge. However, it still required a considerable amount of energy to open the spatial portal. The standard was 10 cosmos crystals per attempt. Hence, the Virtual Universe Company is subsidizing our participation in the survival challenge. Lin Feng said softly. This small amount of money is nothing to them. We have given them money ourselves. Yu Sun snorted. He had given the full price of 10 cosmos crystals. Even though he couldn't cooperate with Lin Feng, that was because everyone had entered different time void realms. Yu Sun felt relieved. That's true. Lin Feng nodded. Even if they paid the full price, it would only be 100,000 cosmos crystals. To him, it was a huge amount. However, to the Virtual Universe Company, it was nothing. The true average payment was only 50,000 cosmos crystals. This 50,000 cosmos crystals, the 7th mercenary group would bear half of it. Wool comes from the sheep. They spent a bit of money to buy us over. Naturally, they will earn back what they need. Yu Sun saw through everything. Lin Feng laughed. As the son of the God Master, even though Yu Sun was arrogant, he had been influenced since he was young. Hence, his vision wasn't bad. The wager before entering the time void realm? Lin Feng said. Right. Yu Sun nodded. Father told me before that this alone is enough to cover the expenses of the Virtual Universe Company. Also, there's still a large amount of surplus. This is because all the participants in the survival challenge face two choices: die or complete the survival challenge. If that's the case, then what's the point of keeping the treasures on you? If you die, the treasures along with the treasures will all be taken away. Hence, every participant before entering the time void realm will bet everything they have on them, fighting with their backs to the wall. If they can successfully come out alive, not only will they complete the challenge and get the prize, they'll also be able to increase their wager by a few times, or even tens of times. Lin Feng nodded. Senior Wu Sanjian wanted him to return the 1,000 cosmos crystals he earned here to him. He seems to have quite a bit of confidence in me. Lin Feng laughed. He already had an idea in his heart, however, even if the flow of time within the time void realm is different, completing the survival challenge still requires quite a bit of time. It's also very dangerous, and the death rate is extremely high. If he really wants 1,000 cosmos crystals, he should wait outside for 100,000 years before giving the heavenly treasure to him. He obviously had a way to get 1,000 cosmos crystals, yet he chose to take the risk. No matter how he looked at it, it didn't make sense. Hence, Senior Wu hopes that I can train myself and raise my strength. Like Senior Qi, he has put in a lot of effort. Lin Feng was secretly grateful. Steelbone Universe Ship Company. If I can complete the survival challenge, I'll have the strength to join them. Lin Feng looked into the distance with a trace of anticipation. At the entrance of the passage ahead, one after another, the strong warriors entered. The opening of the space passage was like building a bridge to the heavens in the vast universe, crossing over time and space, stepping from one side of the bridge to the other. There was no order. After the 5,000-strong warriors from the Time Virtual Company entered, it was the turn of the 5,000-strong warriors from the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Lin Feng naturally stood at the very front. Everyone tactfully retreated to the back. This was the same as the Time Virtual Company previously. The one who stood at the very front was the peak heavenly god Nyoma. Behind Lin Feng was Wu Mo and two other heavenly god warriors who got 3 cosmos crystals. As for Yu Sun, who got 10 cosmos crystals, he stood at the very back of the group with an ashen face. Hua, stepping into the passage, it was bright and transparent, with a 3-dimensional twist. Dense space elements filled the entire passage, slanting downward. Lin Feng stepped in, as though he had walked into a time tunnel. His sense of direction was instantly lost. It was as though he was walking on the spot, but also as though he had walked into a spiral passage. Wrapped in space laws, it was filled with a strange energy. Lin Feng felt as though he had experienced a long century. Step by step, he walked out of the spiral passage in the 3-dimensional space. Ahead, he could faintly see a bright light. His mind and consciousness gradually returned. Ta! Lin Feng stepped out and saw the light again. What greeted him was an incomparably dense universe energy. It was as though he had entered a new world. Compared to the universe energy in Yun Xian Universe Nation, it was much denser, much more solid and dense. His current position was as though he had climbed to a higher level. Standing high up, it felt different. This is the Xing Feng Star Realm? Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he let out a sigh of relief. He had finally arrived. Chapter 23:11. Heads surged, densely packed. It was an enormous square. Yun Xian Universe Country was already big enough, but the square here was even more boundless. The auras of over 100 million great beings filled the air, and they were at least at the heavenly god level. One could even sense the auras of God Masters. They're all here. Lin Feng knew that Yun Xian Universe Country was not the only one participating in the Virtual Time Survival Challenge. How many universe countries were there in Xing Feng Astral? More than 10,000. And not every universe country only had 10,000 places. Among the tens of thousands of universe countries, Yun Xian Universe Country was only average. One could count the number of God Masters in a universe country with two hands. Many universe countries had thousands, tens of thousands, or even more God Masters. Naturally, there were more places for these universe countries than Yun Xin universe country. Xing Feng Astral had more places. If the entire Xing Feng Astral was an empire, then it was a centralized power. Each universe country was divided into a small territory, and the tens of thousands of dukes had different levels of power. This is the time virtual realm. Lin Feng looked into the distance. He could clearly see 7 huge layers of space stacked on top of each other. Each layer was an independent space surrounded by clouds, but they were clearly visible. They towered into the sky, and there was no end in sight. The 7 black holes exuded a terrifying aura like the scorching sun, but there was no swallowing power. Around the black holes there were strange engravings. The engravings extended, and their power suppressed and guided the black holes. The time virtual realm. Each virtual realm was actually a black area. It's huge. Lin Feng knew that the 7 virtual realms were very far away. He could see them so clearly because they were huge, and he could even feel their auras. Just like him, all the great beings from Yun Xin Universe Country were looking around, and their mouths were wide open. They were both virtual universe companies, but Xing Feng Astral was completely different from Yun Xin Universe Country. One was like a well-equipped base fortress, while the other was just an office. The space transportation tunnel sent the great beings one by one. Yu Sun was the last to arrive. Master Hao-in-Chief, he counted the number of people and arranged for them to enter the second round of the test, which was also the last round. It was carried out by the Time Virtual Realm Company's top-level AI, and they allocated the virtual realms based on their own power. The rules of the Time Virtual Survival Challenge will be informed by the top-level artificial intelligence after entering. Don't worry. What you need to do is to adapt to the environment as quickly as possible and survive. Don't think too much about killing. The first step is to survive as much as possible. Remember my words, try your best to survive. Do everything you can to survive. This is the challenge of survival. Manager, he said earnestly with a solemn expression. Everyone's expression was solemn as they swallowed their saliva. Their hearts were filled with apprehension and nervousness. Only after arriving at the Xing Feng astral sector did they realize how insignificant they were. Even if they were the elites of the elites in Yun Xin Cosmic Nation, they were nothing compared to the hundreds of millions of great beings here. The universe was too big. There are countless experts who are more outstanding than you. Survival. Lin Feng murmured softly. It was clearly not an easy task to make director. He looked so serious, even if the minimum requirement was 1 year. Others might not know, but he knew that even someone as strong as Wu Sanjian had only completed the basic standard of 10 years. Even though their strength levels were different, it was clear that the competition within the time virtual realm was fierce. Even though the lowest survival rate is 10%, that's only for powerful universe countries and Xing Feng's astral world. Lin Feng was very clear. For Yun Xin universe country, it's already a great fortune for them to survive even 1%. If you want to reach the basic standard, there might not even be 1 in 10,000. He was confident but not conceited. Even though Lin Feng was confident in himself, he knew that this challenge would not be easy. Fight steadily and surely. Survive first, then look for variables. Lin Feng had a clear plan in his mind. Just as director, he said, there was no need to be stubborn. First, avoid and adapt to the environment. He had extremely strong soul-sensing abilities, so survival was not a problem. The Time Virtual Company was very efficient. After only a few hours, it was Yun Xin Cosmic Nation's turn. Under the lead of Master Hao and Manager He, the group from Yun Xin Cosmic Nation moved forward. There were tens of thousands of elite powerhouses. They had been smug and confident in the beginning, but now they were moving with caution and trepidation. Reality was crueler than anything else. Okay, I'll send you here. Go in when you're ready. Director, he looked calm. He would bring 10,000 warriors here every year, so he was very familiar with this place. But out of the 10,000 warriors who went in, only a few came out. The Time Virtual Realm Survival Challenge was like a big furnace, melting away all the impurities, leaving behind a pure and perfect product. The experts exchanged glances with one another as anxiety and nervousness welled up within them. With a head of short blue hair, Wu Mo's expression was cold, as if nothing could affect his emotions. He stepped in directly. On the other side, Ox Mammoth's horns were shaking, and its nostrils were breathing heavily. It also entered like a tank, unwilling to be left behind. Survive. Lin Feng said to Ing Man. Okay. Ing Man nodded. They looked at each other and smiled, then stepped in. Although she was small, she had great ambition. Lin Feng looked at Ing Man's small and thin figure, and let out a sigh of relief. He didn't interfere. Everyone had their own path to walk. No matter if it was right or wrong, no matter what the result was, as long as they walked it, there was no need to regret. Even if it wasn't the right path. Hua, the blue light covered the area, and Lin Feng entered as well. What entered his eyes was like a cave of science and technology. It was colorful and magnificent, and the moment he entered, he couldn't see any other martial artist. It was as if he had suddenly disappeared. In the entire space, he was the only one left. So magical. Lin Feng knew that he was in the area controlled by the top-level artificial intelligence. According to what director he said, after entering, the top-level artificial intelligence would automatically check and assign tasks. He only needed to wait calmly, and there would be a way out. Beep, beep, beep. He seemed to hear the sound of a device, but it also seemed like an illusion. His body suddenly sank, and then it suddenly tightened. The pressure from the outside gushed out from the inside, and an omnipresent force guided his body. Bang! His head shook slightly. The process of the test was simple and direct. The blue light gathered into a line, and a semicircular ring-shaped passage appeared in front of him. Lin Feng stepped out of the passage slowly, and light filled his eyes. He seemed to have stepped into the clouds, and the scene around him changed instantly. Oh! Lin Feng was slightly surprised when he stepped out of the passage. Chapter 23:12. What he saw were two familiar figures and faces. However, compared to his own surprise, they were obviously much more shocked, especially the Minotaur who was breathing heavily from his nostrils. His pair of horns stood tall, and his two bell-sized eyes were wide open. He couldn't help but let out a sound. Wu Mo Nyoma. We meet again. Lin Feng smiled and greeted them. He didn't need to look at anything else to know that he had entered the fifth time void realm. If he only saw Wu Mo or Nyoma, he might have entered the fourth time void realm. However, since both of them were here, he was definitely in the fifth time void realm. As expected, he spread his aura and instantly sensed the aura of many divine masters. The difference between divine masters and divine masters was one level, and it was very big. Therefore, even the most ordinary lower divine masters were usually much stronger than peak divine masters. There were so many lower divine masters here, so it was naturally impossible for him to enter the fourth time void realm. Normally, it was enough to distinguish. Impossible. Nyoma's voice was like thunder. He kept shaking his head, as if he had seen the most ridiculous thing in the world. A mere middle divine master actually entered the fifth time void realm. It was unimaginable. On the other hand, Wu Mo quickly regained his composure after being slightly surprised. Although he previously estimated that Lin Feng would enter the fourth time void realm, it was normal for him to enter the fifth time void realm. Just like in Yunshin Universe Nation, there wasn't a single divine master who got 0 cosmos crystals during the first test. If it was possible to get 0 cosmos crystals, why couldn't he enter the fifth time void realm? Looks like it's just the three of us. Lin Feng glanced around. To be honest, entering the fifth-time void realm was a bit out of his expectations. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry to enter. It didn't mean that the higher the level of the time void realm, the better. The higher the level, the greater the challenge and the more terrifying the strength of the participant. Especially in the fourth-time void realm and the fifth-time void realm, the biggest difference was because one was at the Divine Master level and the other was at the Divine Master level. Back then, Senior Wu Sanjian had also entered the fifth-time void realm. His current strength was still far from his. Yes. Wu Mo was a man of few words. Like Lin Feng, he wasn't in a hurry to enter. Timid as mice. Two cowards entering the fifth-time void realm, they are simply courting death. Unfortunately, you have no way out now, ha 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 ha. Nyoma laughed loudly and patted his chest. I'll take my leave first. You guys can take your time here. After saying that, Nyoma charged forward and stepped into the mysterious inscription formation. Stupidity is also a good thing. Wu Mo's voice was ice-cold. The ignorant are fearless. Lin Feng smiled. Even though Nyoma's test result was 2 cosmos crystals, he was still only a peak stage heavenly god. If he was placed in the fourth-time emptiness realm, his strength would naturally be considered above average. But if he was placed in the fifth-time emptiness realm, his strength would definitely be at the bottom. To be precise, it was at the very bottom. What do you think? Lin Feng looked at Wu Mo. It's a good thing, Wu Mo said. Oh. Lin Feng was curious. Wu Mo said, the prize money is high and the odds are high. Calm as an ancient well, Wu Mo closed his eyes. After a long and deep breath, he opened his eyes and a ray of light shot out. Until we meet again. His voice echoed in his ears, but Wu Mo's figure had already disappeared without a trace. Straightforward. Lin Feng smiled. He knew what Wu Mo meant. If he entered the fifth-time emptiness realm with the strength of a peak stage heavenly god, the prize money would naturally be higher, and the odds would also be higher. This was because the top-level AI evaluated the warrior's strength against the difficulty of the emptiness realm. Even though it's somewhat unexpected, it's not necessarily a bad thing for me. At the very least, this can be considered a challenge. Lin Feng recovered his mental state. Actually, the fourth-time emptiness realm was far from a challenge for him. After all, most of the warriors who entered were peak-stage heavenly gods. However, the fifth-time emptiness realm was different. Even the weakest warriors there were outstanding peak-stage heavenly gods, like Wu Mo and Nyoma. Normally, the ones he would encounter would be lower-level divine lords, or even middle-level divine lords. Very interesting. Lin Feng felt his blood boiling. It was as if he had returned to the Milky Way super black hole and fought with Divine Lord Orchid Pavilion on the West Eel. When he thought about the countless powerful warriors like Divine Lord Orchid Pavilion waiting for him in the fifth-time emptiness realm, he felt excited. He had always liked challenges. My goal is not only to survive, but also to surpass Senior Wu. Lin Feng stepped into the secret inscription array. Rings and rings of peculiar energy enveloped him. This place was still under the control of the top-grade AI. In fact, the 7-time emptiness realms were all linked to the top-grade AI. Ding, a sound seemed to resound in his mind. The instant before he entered the black hole, he arrived at an independent space of 100 meters square. It was squarish, and the secret inscriptions were like art carvings. A virtual grid appeared in front of him. Coefficient 10. Bonus. Minimum standard 10 cosmos crystals. Elementary standard 100 cosmos crystals. Intermediate standard 1000 cosmos crystals. Advanced standard 10,000 cosmos crystals. Top grade standard 100,000 cosmos crystals. Perfect standard 1 million cosmos crystals. Ultra perfect standard 10 million cosmos crystals. The 7 standards appeared clearly. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He instantly memorized it. In other words, if he wanted to obtain 1,000 cosmos crystals, he needed to reach the intermediate standard. However, this was only the bonus. The real big prize was usually the bet, because his coefficient was 10. The highest coefficient. The normal minimum bonus was 1 cosmos crystal, and the elementary standard was 10 cosmos crystals. He had increased it by 10 times, and the odds were the same. The basic odds had already started with a coefficient of 10. Originally, the lowest standard odds were 1, but his was 110. It's a pity that I don't have much wealth on me. Lin Feng laughed bitterly. He didn't care too much about it. After all, wealth was just a worldly possession. He took out treasures one by one, and following the voice of the top-grade AI, he threw them out. The numbers on the virtual screen in front of him increased continuously. 1. 7 cosmos crystals. 3. 3 cosmos crystals. 5. 9 cosmos crystals. The numbers kept increasing. Although there weren't any particularly valuable treasures, there was a huge amount of them. Lin Feng had a huge pile of pinnacle true treasures, and there were countless types of true treasure materials. Now, he had cleared all of them from his inventory. The other great beings are probably the same as me. Lin Feng laughed. Anyway, he wouldn't get anything if he died in the survival challenge, so he might as well bet all his wealth. Although the initial odds were a little shabby, the normal odds were 1, and the mortality rate was 90%. The elementary standard was 1, 3, and the mortality rate was as high as 99%. However, he didn't have much choice. He could only bet. It's finally empty. Lin Feng busied himself for a while and finally emptied his pocket. The numbers on the virtual screen in front of him suddenly appeared. Chapter 23:13. 20. 1 Universe Crystal. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. He didn't know that he had quite a lot of wealth, mainly because he had quite a lot of scattered true treasures and the fruits of heaven and earth that he had collected previously. Now that he had a perfect chaotic body, he didn't need to consume any more fruits of heaven and earth to improve. 20 universe crystals wasn't a lot, but it wasn't little either. Although he could get more universe crystals if he pawned pinnacle true treasures like Shura King Armor and 3 Soul Sky Bell, it was too much of a gamble, like drinking poison to quench thirst. Strength was the most important factor. With enough strength, adaptability, and the ability to survive, the odds and rewards would get higher every time he passed a standard threshold. Coefficient 10. Bet 20. 1 universe crystals. Lowest standard, 201 universe crystals. Beginner standard, 603 universe crystals. Intermediate standard, 2010 universe crystals. Advanced standard, 20,100 universe crystals. Top-notch standard, 201,000 universe crystals. Perfect standard, 201,000 universe crystals. Ultra-perfect standard, 201,000 universe crystals. Lin Feng nodded. Although he didn't have much money, the coefficient of 10 times was high and the odds were good. Basically, starting from the intermediate standard, he would get double the reward. Biting off more than one could chew was enough. To him, it was fine as long as he had enough money. More was just a number. So if I join the Time Void Realm Survival Challenge to earn 1,000 universe crystals, I have to at least reach the beginner standard, which is the standard reached by Senior Wu. Lin Feng thought to himself. Although the beginner standard had a prize of 703 universe crystals, which was less than 1,000, there would be a lot of killing in the survival challenge. Killing would be accompanied by death and treasures. The 5th Time Void Realm was at most a God Master. Normally, God Masters already had Heaven Path True Treasures. The most ordinary beginner Heaven Path True Treasures had a starting price of 100 universe crystals. If he was lucky, he could reach the lowest standard and get 1,000 universe crystals. However, such a goal was too shallow and couldn't be considered a survival challenge. Like Senior Wu, I'll set my goal at the beginner standard. Lin Feng finished his bet and browsed through the rules of the survival challenge. Every stage had its own mission, and there was more than one way to reach the standard. Fifth Time Void Realm, Time Flow 100. Minimum Standard Mission, live for 100 years. Every participant killed will reduce the mission requirement by 10 years. Every time you kill a low-level Emptiness Realm beast, you will reduce the mission requirement by 1 year. Every time you kill a mid-level Emptiness Realm beast, you will reduce the mission requirement by 10 years. Every time you kill a high-level Emptiness Realm beast, you will complete the mission. The location of the minimum standard mission is Planet Guemo. There is a protective membrane outside, so there is no need to worry about other advanced powerhouses. Lin Feng read it 3 times and memorized it completely. The minimum task was not difficult. The time flow rate was 100, which meant that if one completed the minimum task in the Time Void Realm and lived for 100 years, only 1 year would pass in the outside world. It was no different from what Senior Qi had said. No wonder there's a 10% chance of passing. Lin Feng more or less understood. Many powerful contestants could directly kill 10 other contestants and advance to the next round. As for Emptiness Realm beasts, it seemed that they were not easy to kill. Otherwise, the probability of passing would be much higher than 10%. There's a protective membrane on the outside, which means that those who have advanced before can't enter Guemo planet. So my opponents are only Emptiness Realm beasts and other contestants. Among them, I need to pay attention to Emptiness Realm beasts. Lin Feng sorted out his thoughts. His experience and judgment told him that Emptiness Realm beasts were not to be trifled with, especially the so-called high-level Emptiness Realm beasts in the mission requirement. They might be the most terrifying, because as long as he killed one, he would complete the mission. How could it be that simple? The more simple the mission seemed, the more difficult it was. Maybe there are other troubles and dangers that I can't predict. No matter what, I'll enter first and plan later. Lin Feng took a deep breath and prepared himself. He had his own strengths and weaknesses. Fifth, he was in the Emptiness Realm. His strength was at the bottom among the group of powerhouses, but his soul-sensing ability was strong. It was very convenient for him to survive. I'll get used to it first, then I'll seek it later. After he was fully prepared, Lin Feng left the independent space. The space shifted, and in front of him was strange and variegated. It was as if he had entered a wonderful space tunnel. The scene changed abruptly, and in an instant, a green bamboo forest appeared. Lin Feng's feet landed on the ground. Guemo planet. The moment Lin Feng's consciousness returned, his aura had already spread out. Without any pause, his body moved forward, and he reacted in an instant. Qi. A sharp blade mixed with light-speed energy tore through the space. It was a monster with dark green eyes and rough skin. Its face was pitted and hideous. There was a membrane in its throat that was pale white in color. Its gray nails were dyed with poison, and there were webs between its claws. It was like a giant toad. Its body was huge, but its attack speed was extremely fast. A pinnacle heavenly god powerhouse. Lin Feng had seen Emptiness Realm beasts in the illustrated handbook. Naturally, he recognized the monster that ambushed him from behind. It was obviously a pinnacle heavenly god powerhouse from another universe country, and not an Emptiness Realm beast. Hating attacked. Lin Feng retreated and at the same time counterattacked. He didn't expect the battle to come so suddenly. He had just entered Guemo planet and it had already started. Even though he was ambushed, Lin Feng was very calm. While he focused on defending, he spread out his aura once again. One opponent wasn't scary. What was scary was the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. The more dangerous it was, the calmer he had to be. A black helmet appeared. There were clear patterns on it, like a strange letter that was shining with golden light. The black crystals on the king's armor lit up. Shura's killing intent exploded. Lin Feng's eyes were bloodshot. Hating clashed with the dark green monster. The perfect Hundun body revealed its tyrannical power. Although Lin Feng was a middle-level heavenly god, his body was stronger, and his fighting spirit was fiercer. The divine light and darkness patterns intertwined. The second heaven of light and darkness appeared. Lin Feng instantly exploded with all his strength. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, he had gained the upper hand. Damn it! The dark green monster's face turned even uglier. He wanted to take advantage of the opponent's unsteady footing to attack. He didn't expect to hit a nail on the head. The opponent's reaction was extremely fast. In fact, his strength wasn't inferior to Lin Feng's. However, the psychological pressure brought by the failed ambush had a great impact. Both of them were experts who specialized in close combat. It was as if two planets had collided, and heavenly lightning had stirred up the Earth's flames. Both of them were experts in offense and not defense. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous would win. Lin Feng's aura was stronger, and his attacking methods and experience were richer. The long-range attacks of the Bermuda Triangle and the explosive power of Hating's body finally killed the dark green monster in one go. Hating cut off the dark green monster's head. Lin Feng completed the first kill in the survival challenge. Chapter 23:14. Shua. Almost instantly, Lin Feng fled the battlefield. Because he sensed at least 3 auras rapidly approaching him. It was not easy to sense auras from a distance, but once a battle broke out, the airflow would be very strong, and experienced great beings would be able to sense it. Especially God Masters, who were closer to the heavenly Tao and had a deeper understanding. This guy is really powerful. Lin Feng fled quickly, but his injuries were not light. Blood gushed out of his chest, and the wound was covered with a layer of dark gray. Even the blood had changed color. The dark green monster's attack was extremely poisonous, so he could not afford to drag the battle out. He had to end it as soon as possible. Moreover, the 3 Orioles were very close and would be here soon. What a powerful poison! Lin Feng had the perfect chaotic body, so the poison was not much of a threat to him. However, the paralysis and corrosive effects of the poison still hindered his movements and affected his combat strength. When great beings fought, even the slightest detail could affect the outcome of the battle. Lin Feng knew his own strength. The battle with the dark green monster had been a draw, not to mention the 3 other great beings rushing over. He could not defeat any of them in his current state. One planet is too small. Lin Feng flew in the opposite direction. As a newcomer, planet Guemo had reached the minimum standard of a battlefield. There was a thick protective layer around it that sealed the space energy. Not only could the great beings not enter, but also the great beings inside could not leave. Space laws similar to teleportation could not be used. This point had already been clearly stated in the survival challenge rules of the independent space. However, in a real battle, no great being would be bold enough to teleport directly. From teleporting to a fixed location to regaining consciousness, attacking and defending, it was enough to kill dozens of times. The great beings of tens of thousands of universe countries and the native great beings of Xingfeng astral sector are all squeezed on a small planet. It's hard to even hide. Lin Feng flew down like an arrow. Below him was an endless ocean. The moment he shot in, Tian Wu sealed his aura. The power of the 10,000 origin mustard stone was on full display, completely concealing his aura. With Lin Feng's current cultivation, he could already use part of the 10,000 origin mustard stone's power. Concealing his aura was very ordinary, but very practical. Especially now. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In just a few blinks of an eye, 3 completely different auras descended upon this indigo ocean. One was a human, one was a demon, and one was a beast. These 3 experts were all lower-level divine lord. None of them were close to each other. They looked at the other two powerhouses vigilantly. None of them dared to act rashly. After all, they were all lesser divine masters, and the strength of their auras was similar, but their fighting prowess was unknown. However, since he was able to reach the emptiness realm of the fifth era, he should not be too far off. This was because if a lower divine lord was strong enough to enter the sixth time void realm, it could be said that the upper limit had been sealed. At least for now, it was sealed. As for those who had left the Gu-Mo planet, it was hard to say. After a short confrontation, neither side was willing to back down. The beast race expert widened his green eyes and roared as he retreated. His senses were the weakest among them, and he couldn't sense the aura of that human at the peak of the heavenly god stage. Even if he chased after him into the vast sea, his chances of finding him were slim, let alone the fact that there were still two low-level divine masters eyeing him covetously. Roar! When the beast race expert retreated, the stable triangular balance instantly collapsed. One human and one beast, two lower divine masters, attacked each other without any hesitation. They attacked first to gain the upper hand. Entering the time void realm to participate in the survival challenge, they were already mentally prepared. If one didn't attack, others would. In this place, there was no such thing as mercy. Since they were already here, they had to risk everything and go all out. This was because whoever won this battle would be equivalent to killing two contestants. One human and one beast, two lower divine masters, naturally wouldn't care about the heavenly god stage expert who had just escaped. Divine masters were unreachable existences to heavenly gods. Absolute suppression. Whoosh! Lin Feng escaped into the vast sea and slipped away long ago. He didn't want to care about what was happening outside, and he couldn't care about it. He had already been injured in the first battle, and his strength was at the end of the fifth time void realm. It was too irrational to fight against a lower divine master now. It's harder to sense auras in the sea. Rather than fighting outside, it's better to find a place to cultivate peacefully here. Although Lin Feng had just entered the Valley Ink planet, he had already seen through some of its secret. Tens of thousands of experts had just entered, and the Valley Ink planet was bound to be overcrowded. Outside, one could meet experts just by walking around. When enemies met on a narrow path, the brave would win. The battle would be very intense, and it depended not only on one's strength, but also on one's luck. No matter how strong one was, if one met a dozen lower divine masters in a chaotic battle, who could say for sure that one would survive? Let's wait first. The situation will be very different when the strongest experts in this batch of newcomers kill 10 contestants and leave. At that time, the number of contestants will decrease sharply, and the remaining contestants will also be experienced and won't make enemies everywhere. They will choose a stable and defensive strategy. Lin Feng's thoughts flew quickly. After all, to reach the minimum standard, one didn't need to focus too much on fighting. It was enough to ensure one's survival. Although it was difficult to live here for 100 years, it wasn't impossible. At least, it was much easier than killing 10 contestants. Hiss hiss, green smoke rose from his skin, and wisps of toxins were removed from his body. With the perfect chaotic body, Lin Feng was almost immune to poison. Although the toxins were fierce, they were actually just a kind of energy. By using energy to consume energy, he could remove the toxins and recover to his original state. Lin Feng quickly absorbed the abundant energy from the wandering planet, and his body was soon saturated. This was his biggest advantage. Even if it was a chaotic battle, he could completely withstand it. The other experts still needed time to recover, but he didn't need to. Lin Feng slowly sank into the sea and swam freely in the sea. However, at this time, he didn't see that directly below the sea, a pair of illusory eyes had opened, hidden in the seaweed. The color was exactly the same, and the aura blended into the sea as if it didn't exist. It seemed to have merged with the surrounding environment as if it existed, but also as if it didn't. He couldn't sense any of its aura just by detecting its aura, as if it wasn't alive. Hiss! Lin Feng's hair stood on end and his heartbeat quickened. The almost instantaneous reaction was like a needle piercing deeply into his heart. His heaven-eye cultivation and sixth sense instantly woke him up, and a terrifying danger spread throughout his body. It was like an electric current, piercing and terrifying. Bang! Lin Feng reacted extremely quickly, and in a panic, he hurriedly defended himself. The attack from below seemed to stop time. The cold light was incomparably fast and fierce, and its power was enough to shatter gold and crack stone. Emptiness Realm Beast. Chapter 23:15. A novice Emptiness Realm Beast was 3 meters long, transparent, and colorless. A mid-level Emptiness Realm Beast was 6 meters long and 3 meters tall. A high-level Emptiness Realm Beast was 12 meters long and 6 meters tall. In the independent space with top-level intelligence, Lin Feng was already familiar with the characteristics of Emptiness Realm Beasts. They were monsters that were extremely good at camouflage and sneak attack. They were born in the Emptiness Realm and merged with the Emptiness Realm. It was impossible to guard against them. If a novice Emptiness Realm Beast could be found by sensing its aura and sight, a mid-level Emptiness Realm Beast would be very difficult. Only experts with extremely sensitive senses and sharp eyesight would be able to discover it. As for a high-level Emptiness Realm Beast, its color fusion was equivalent to merging with the environment. It could even change into several colors and exist like a flower petal or gravel. Its aura was invisible in the Emptiness Realm. Most lower-level Divine Lords would die if they encountered a high-level Emptiness Realm Beast. However, there were only 3 high-level Emptiness Realm Beasts in Gu-Mo Planet. They were very rare. Otherwise, the probability of meeting the minimum standard would not be so high. However, when one was unlucky, even drinking water would get stuck between one's teeth, not to mention 3 high-level Emptiness Realm Beasts. One of them was hiding in this vast ocean. It would attack any contestant that entered this ocean. Before Lin Feng, it had already killed 5 of them. There was no movement or clue. It quietly slaughtered and reaped the lives of the contestants. Lin Feng was the 6th. Bang! Pooh! Although Lin Feng had the peak-level high-level true treasure Shura King armor, he still suffered a heavy blow. This had nothing to do with how much defense he had. No matter how strong his defense was, like a Heavenly Path true treasure, it could not unleash an absolute defense in an instant. It depended on one's reaction and endurance. With his super-strong sixth sense and perfect chaotic body, Lin Feng was undoubtedly the lucky one. Although he was extremely unlucky and encountered a high-level Emptiness Realm Beast, he still survived. This was very important. The most powerful attack of a Emptiness Realm Beast was the first attack. Of the 5 contestants that died before Lin Feng, 4 of them were lower-level Divine Lord. All of them were killed in the first attack. It was obvious how powerful a high-level Emptiness Realm Beast was. 10,000 years is nothing. Although Lin Feng was heavily injured, he was still extremely calm. The spatial true treasure was released and enveloped the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast within. Not only did it control the beast, but it also made it impossible for the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast to escape. No matter how good it was at hiding its aura and how good it was at blending with the environment, it would not be able to escape the detection of the domain true treasure. What a guy! Lin Feng retreated, creating some distance between them. The Bermuda Triangle appeared in his hand, tearing the space to form a spiral triangle. The black vortex was perfectly controlled, forming the strongest attack. Boom! With the control of the 10,000 years of emptiness and the attack of the Bermuda Triangle, he directly collided with the sharp claws of the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast. A mournful sound rang in his ears, like the roar of a devil. In terms of attack power, Lin Feng had long since reached the level of a lesser divine master. However, this powerful killing move could only force a high-level Emptiness Realm Beast to retreat. It could not injure it, let alone kill it. The moment he retreated, the high-level emptiness realm beast made a comeback. Its body blended perfectly with the environment, and it was impossible to distinguish its aura with the naked eye. Bang! It was another attack of the triangle grave. Lin Feng was not stingy with the consumption of the spatial energy. This was because the consumption of the spatial energy was almost zero to him. The moment the spatial energy was consumed, the huge support of the wandering planet would make up for it. Boom! 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 Lin Feng attacked fiercely. He did not give the high-level emptiness realm beast any chance to get close to him. He could still fight against the high-level emptiness realm beast from a distance, but in close combat, with his current strength, he was no match for the high-level emptiness realm beast, which was equivalent to a top-notch lesser divine master. Lin Feng was very clear about this point. Hiss! Swish! The high-level emptiness realm beast let out a terrifying cry. Its eyes were like that of a devil's, causing people to shudder. It stared at the prey in front of it, but it could not get close to it. This prey was somewhat different from the ones it had hunted before. Not only did it withstand the first attack, but it also did not give the high-level emptiness realm beast any chance to get close to it. Although the high-level emptiness realm beast did not have normal intelligence, it had a rather strong bestial instinct. It was indeed stronger than its prey, but it could not kill its prey. Swish! The high-level emptiness realm beast's figure flashed, and it suddenly disappeared into the vast sea. It could not be sensed anymore. The surrounding seawater returned to normal, and Lin Feng scanned the surroundings with his aura. He also lost his sixth sense. It had left. Blessings never come in pairs, and misfortunes never come singly. Lin Feng sighed. As he recovered from his injuries, he gathered his strength to guard against the high-level emptiness realm beast's sneak attack. The difficulty of the time emptiness realm's survival challenge was much higher than expected. He had only been here for less than an hour, and he had already experienced 2 near-death experiences. Especially the battle with the high-level emptiness realm beast, he had almost lost his life. Fortunately, although the high-level emptiness realm beast was strong, it only had bestial instincts and did not have any intelligence. Therefore, although it had an absolute advantage, it could not expand its advantage and turn it into a victory. However, if it was a normal expert, he would have exhausted all of his strength. Lin Feng knew that he was lucky this time. Although the high-level emptiness realm beast was strong, he had the Bermuda Triangle, a heavenly Tao treasure. He did not fear it. If it were other experts, they would not be so lucky. Even if I dodged the first attack, the high-level emptiness realm beast could easily kill a low-level divine lord. This was a monster with excellent attack and defense. It was no wonder that he only needed to kill one of them to complete the mission. It was because the difficulty was really too high. I only need to release the 10,000 years of emptiness, and I have no fear of its sneak attack. Learning from his mistakes, Lin Feng had learned to be smart. He only needed to expend a little more energy. As for the consumption of space energy, it was negligible. Chi! A ferocious-looking demon clan expert broke into the vast ocean. His body was stained with the blood of human experts. He was one of the 2 low-level divine lords who had chased after Lin Feng earlier. His strength was a notch higher, and he managed to kill that human expert. Now, he would not let go of Lin Feng, a small prey. Escape into the ocean? You're dead, little brat! GGG. The demon clan expert's hair stood on end, and his thick tail emitted lightning. The low-level divine lord's strength was top-notch even in the entire Gu-Mo planet. After killing that human, there will be 5 of them. Then, I just need to kill 5 more. The minimum standard is not a challenge for me. Boring, too boring. Grasping the pearl of wisdom, the monster race expert laughed wantonly. He quickly dove into the depths of the ocean. He did not see that in the sea of corals in front of him, there was a figure who had completely merged with the corals. The figure opened its eyes, as if the sea god had a murderous intent. Chi. The high-level emptiness realm beast suddenly attacked. The cold light was bone-piercing, and it took the life of the demon clan expert from behind. The latter's face was distorted, and his eyes were wide open. He did not know what had happened until he died. Chapter 23:16. Hey, this is... Lin Feng was slightly stunned. He sensed a faint energy aura, but there was no aura of life. Treasure. Lin Feng followed the direction of the aura and quickly found the target. It was a three-fingered claw in the form of thunder, 5 to 6 times bigger than a normal human's palm. The claw was long and sharp, and there were secret engravings that contained the law of heaven, forming a picture. Heaven Path True Treasure? Lin Feng was stunned for a moment, but the item in his hand was genuine. Lin Feng didn't know how to react to picking up a Heaven Path True Treasure without any preparation. He just smiled bitterly and shook his head. After entering the Time Void realm to survive, he had been attacked one after another without any good luck. Now, could this be considered a blessing in disguise? To be exact, I got lucky. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He put away the Heaven Path True Treasure. There was still some energy aura on it, as if the battle had ended not long ago. Usually, when two parties fought and one party was killed, the winner would give up all the treasures. Rarely would there be a fish that escaped the net. To be able to pick up a Heaven Path True Treasure was a great stroke of luck. Ordinary elementary Heaven Path True Treasures are equivalent to top-tier pinnacle True Treasures, starting from 100 Cosmos crystals. This Thunder Claw is a set of weapons, at least 200 Cosmos crystals. Probably like me, he escaped into this ocean and died from his injuries, so he left this Heaven Path True Treasure behind. The weapon has just been in a battle, so there is still some aura left, so it is easy to sense. Maybe there are other treasures, such as armor and boot. Lin Feng's mind was spinning as he dived down to look for treasures. A great being usually had more than one treasure. With a general area, it wasn't difficult to search. Soon, Lin Feng found other treasures, but they were all pinnacle true treasures, and there was no Heaven Path True Treasure. Sure enough, Lin Feng nodded with satisfaction. But there are a lot of pinnacle true treasures. A total of 15. How could a great being have 15 pinnacle true treasures? Unless, seems like he killed many contestants. Lin Feng smiled. In the end, all of them are mine. Lin Feng accepted the treasures without hesitation. Naturally, he did not know that these treasures belonged to the Oriole, who had chased after him before. A lower divine master, an expert of the demon race. He had already killed 5 contestants. With the strength of the demon clan's experts, they could have reached the minimum standard. However, they were too greedy. They wanted to kill Lin Feng and take advantage of the situation. They didn't want to die under the claws of a high-level emptiness realm beast. Anything could happen in the Time Void realm. You may be strong, but there are others who are stronger than you. Especially in the current GUMO planet, all the contestants had just entered and had never dealt with a monster like a high-level virtual realm beast. Whether it was in terms of strength or ability, they were inferior. If they encountered a virtual realm beast, they would only have a dead end. After returning from a rewarding journey, Lin Feng continued to recover his strength. Even though he'd obtained quite a few treasures, they were only external possessions. Lin Feng was very clear that once he lost his life, these treasures would naturally change owners, and he would only be working for someone else. At the end of the day, it still required strength. Having seen through the essence, Lin Feng was very clear on what path he should take next. 2 directions. The first is to walk the path of the light and darkness bloodlines. The second is to walk the path of the black vortex. Both were his bloodlines, and he didn't intend to give up either one. However, the key now was to urgently improve his combat strength and gain a foothold in the Time Void realm. He wouldn't be so lucky every time. The key to the black vortex is to exert the power of time and space. Moreover, I have the support of a wandering planet. To be precise, it's stronger than the light and darkness bloodlines. It's just that my foundation is too shallow and my comprehension of the laws is rough. There's no essential direction to improve. The key to improving my combat strength is the Bermuda Triangle, a mid-level heavenly path treasure. The Bermuda Triangle was quite an extraordinary treasure for Divine Master Expert. Its main offensive ability, Triangle Tomb, had already proven its strength. It was definitely not ordinary to be able to compete with high-level virtual realm beasts. He continued to comprehend the Space Heavenly Path secret technique and mastered it to the extreme. Once he mastered the ultimate ability, Triangle Destruction, he was confident that he would be invincible on Gu-Mo planet. However, I might not be able to make it in time. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. He had comprehended the Triangle Tomb and knew the difficulty of Space Secret Technique. The difficulty of comprehending the Triangle Destruction was at least 10 times. To comprehend it in a mere 100 years? It was a fantasy. No matter how good his comprehension was or how lucky he was, the chances were slim. Right now, every second mattered. He couldn't pin his hopes on such a slim chance. He could continue to cultivate, but not right now, not at all. It's the same for cultivating the 9 heavens of light and darkness. From the 2nd heaven to the 3rd heaven, the difficulty will only be higher. The 3rd heaven of light and darkness is comparable to a peak divine master, which is equivalent to a level 8 space heavenly path secret technique. Lin Feng sighed deeply. What did level 8 space heavenly path secret technique mean? Normally, peak divine masters were stuck at this level and could only become a divine master after comprehending level 7 space heavenly path secret technique. Those who had level 8 space heavenly path secret technique were all high-level divine masters or peak divine masters. One more level to level 9 and one of the requirements to become a supremacy. It's hard to improve one's level. I'll improve from the aspect of skills. Lin Feng understood. Usually, skills were the easiest to improve, such as saber moves and secret technique. It was difficult to create a secret technique, but it was much easier to learn a secret technique. Although one couldn't unleash 100% of the secret technique's power, as long as the secret technique was strong enough, even if one could only unleash 50% to 60% of its power, it was already impressive. If there was a teacher to teach, learning and cultivating secret techniques would be much faster. He had a teacher. Now I can cultivate the Heaven and Earth Secret Technique chapter. Lin Feng closed his eyes, and the Heaven and Earth Secret Technique chapter appeared clearly. There were countless secret techniques. Not only were there original records of each secret technique, but there were also explanations from Ancestor Wan Qian. It was easy to understand. Learning it with level 2 of the 9 heavens of light and darkness cultivation was much more efficient than level 1. The secret techniques in the Heaven and Earth Secret Technique chapter included secret techniques created by Ancestor Wan Qian based on the fusion of light and darkness, as well as top-notch secret techniques collected from the universe. There were thousands and thousands of them. He could choose the one that was most suitable for him. Creation was indeed good. However, he had never learned any secret techniques. What could he create? Lin Feng knew very well that his current level of understanding of secret techniques was too low. He couldn't create any powerful secret techniques at all. True creation itself should be built on a huge amount of learning. Only by mastering other secret techniques could one create a truly powerful secret technique. That was why Ancestor Wan Qian had collected so many complicated secret techniques. He had also comprehended all of them. Learning, referencing, mastering, and finally, that was creation. Chapter 23:17. Tomb of the Triangle. Lin Feng performed the Bermuda Triangle as he pleased. The spiral triangle pulled and cut the space. The high-level emptiness realm beast was furious, but it couldn't do anything about it. Under the feet of the high-level emptiness realm beast, there was an endless amount of space binding pressure. Although it couldn't cause any damage, the existence of the Emptiness Realm Beast allowed Lin Feng to achieve perfect control. The high-level Emptiness Realm Beast couldn't sneak and attack anymore. Go back. You can't kill me. Lin Feng attacked again, and forced the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast to retreat. Under the restraint of the Emptiness Realm Beast, the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast couldn't get close to him. Its attack couldn't shake the Bermuda Triangle either. Of course, it was impossible for him to kill it. In the past few years, the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast had attacked him nearly 10 times. Every time, it returned without success. This time was no exception. Roar! The high-level Emptiness Realm Beast was furious. It wanted to tear Lin Feng into pieces. He was such a weak prey, but it couldn't kill him no matter how hard it tried. It was so angry that it was furious. Don't waste your energy. Lin Feng released the space energy and was ready to attack again at any time. If you let me stay here for another 80 years, I will leave. He had killed a contestant before. Therefore, he only needed to stay for 90 years to reach the minimum standard. The outside world was raging with wars and heroes fighting for supremacy. He wasn't interested in getting involved. So what if he killed 10 contestants? What was the benefit of completing the minimum standard in advance? It was no different from surviving for 100 years. It was better to use the 100 years of cultivation to prepare for the next standard. The difficulty of each standard increased. The next standard not only required a longer time, but the opponents were all experts who had reached the minimum standard. This was because all the newcomers were protected. It was the same in Planet Gumo and the other planet. The high-level Emptiness Realm Beast ran away again. It didn't retreat in defeat with its tail between its legs, but it didn't gain any benefits either. It attacked that weak prey again and again, but it failed every time. This caused the high-level Emptiness Realm Beast to be filled with resentment and had nowhere to vent it. Roar! High-level Emptiness Realm Beasts roared angrily, causing the water in the ocean to tremble. It blended perfectly with the ocean. Its body was like the ocean, and its heart was like the ocean. As long as there was any unusual movement or existence of life in the ocean, it would be able to sense it immediately. Suddenly, the eyes of the high-level Virtual Realm Beast lit up. His figure turned into nothingness and disappeared. Above the ocean, it was a bald expert with 3 eyes and 4 arms. His eyes were sparkling. It's too dangerous to continue fighting. Those who are still alive now are the best of the best. I may not have the confidence to win. The 3-eyed expert was very rational. Even though he had already killed 7 contestants, he only needed to kill 3 more. However, he still chose to give in. That was because the repeated battles had told him that it was too dangerous. It took him a lot of effort to kill the 6th and 7th contestants, but if he could kill them now, what about the next 3? The 3-eyed expert was not confident at all. Instead of fighting a battle that they had no confidence in, it was better to seek stability. After another 20 years or so, they would be able to reach the minimum standard. Compared to the land, the water is more suitable for hiding and concealing one's aura. Let's do it here. The 3-eyed expert made a decision. His 4 arms parted the dense water and directly dived down. It was a very decisive and rational choice. However, he did not know that there was an extremely terrifying monster living under the ocean. Right now, he was full of anger and had nowhere to vent it. Oh? Lin Feng, who was cultivating, suddenly had a thought. A faint energy fluctuation came from above. One of them was very familiar. Although he could not sense it, his 6th sense told him that it was the high-level Virtual Realm Beast that had been fighting with him all these years. Let's go and take a look. Driven by curiosity, Lin Feng quickly went up. Although it was very dangerous, he was not afraid of high-level Virtual Realm Beasts. He instantly approached, but he was still one step too late. The battle is over. It is indeed a high-level Virtual Realm Beast. Although Lin Feng only sensed a little bit of it, he was familiar with high-level virtual realm beasts for so many years, so he could recognize it. It would only reveal its aura during battle. That little bit of aura just now was undoubtedly a high-level virtual realm beast. It seems that another participant was killed by it. Lin Feng knew the ability of a high-level virtual realm beast. It was too easy for it to kill a participant. Its attacks were silent and terrifying. It was top-notch in both long-lasting and close combat. Other than its intelligence, it had no weaknesses. Anyone who met such an opponent would have a headache, including himself. Again? Although Lin Feng was in the midst of rushing, he still maintained the 10,000 years of emptiness without any slack. The moment the high-level emptiness realm beast appeared, Triangle Tomb's attack was launched. The high-level virtual realm beast waved its claws angrily. It was indignant and fled again. This time, it did not linger and did not fight with Lin Feng for dozens of rounds. After many years of fighting, they already knew each other's abilities. Swoosh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He sped up with 4 pinnacle true treasures in his hands. Above him were 3 more pinnacle true treasures. Taking a deep breath, Lin Feng revealed a smile. Above him was an earthy yellow Heavenly Path true treasure battle armor. It was as dazzling as gold, and it was very eye-catching. Ha ha! Lin Feng laughed heartily. He was lacking a Heavenly Path true treasure battle armor to increase his defense. Now that he had it, it was effortless. There's more. Just as he got the Heavenly Path true treasure battle armor, Lin Feng suddenly looked into the distance. There was another Heavenly Path true treasure weapon floating in the distance. It was a sharp and deep trident with 3 different colored crystal beads and engravings. It contained the law of time. 2 elementary Heavenly Path true treasures. Xiao! Whoosh! Lin Feng continued to sweep the area with his fastest speed. He was very clear that these 2 Heavenly Path true treasures, including the pinnacle true treasures, came from the contestant who had just been killed by the high-level Void Realm beast. Since there were 2 Heavenly Path true treasures, there were at least 10 pinnacle true treasures. As expected, after sweeping for a while, he quickly gained something. A total of 21 pinnacle true treasures. TSK. Lin Feng was very satisfied. With the addition of the 2 elementary Heavenly Path true treasures, his harvest this time was more than 500 cosmos crystals. In addition to the previous harvest, he was very close to his target of 1,000 cosmos crystals. It's too easy to make money. Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. He had gained so much in 2 harvests, and it was indeed thanks to the high-level Void Realm beast. Obviously, the first harvest was also done by it. Because the high-level Void Realm beast only had primitive instincts, it did not need the Heavenly Path true treasures and pinnacle true treasures, and it would not take them. After killing the contestant, the treasures would naturally flow into the ocean. This is such a good opportunity. It seems. I can make use of it? Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he revealed a smile. Chapter 23:18. In the sky of planet Guemo, swoosh! A light blue figure appeared. His body was covered with hard scales, and his protruding eyes were extremely huge. He could see 360 degrees in all directions without any blind spot. Demon expert Bei Su. The aura of a god? The eyes of the demon expert Bei Su instantly lit up. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and flew into the sea without hesitation. How could he miss such a weak prey? Haha, my luck is not bad. A year later, a demon expert covered in green and white demonic patterns passed by. His arms were extremely long, like a pair of shackles. His entire body was emitting a shocking dark aura. There was a huge hole on his forehead that contained a heavenly Tao secret technique that could annihilate the law. With a body as hard as steel, coupled with his innate ability and dark cultivation, the descendant of the demon expert was definitely one of the top super experts in the entire planet Gu Mo. Born in the peak astral realm, he was superior to others. The last one. The descendant of the demon expert broke through the sea and entered. His eyes were filled with pride and arrogance. Killing a mere god expert was as easy as flipping one's hand. Previously, he had already killed 8 contestants. Among them, the 8th contestant had slightly injured him, so he hid and recovered for a period of time. After 10 years, he had completed a small cycle. As long as he killed the 9th contestant, he would meet the minimum requirement. Right now, even the heavens were helping him. The dark blue ocean sparkled with a clear and crystalline luster, revealing a beautiful color that made one feel relaxed and happy. This place was like a paradise without any fighting or danger. Everything was so comfortable and enjoyable. However, no one knew that this place had already devoured the top experts of planet Gu-Mo one after another. The more harmless it seemed, the more dangerous it was. The harvest this time is not small. Thanks. Lin Feng's figure suddenly appeared not far away from the high-level emptiness realm beast. 10,000 years of emptiness firmly controlled this area. Even though the high-level emptiness realm beast was right in front of him, Lin Feng didn't care. He had gotten used to it over the past few decades. Even the high-level emptiness realm beast had gotten used to the existence of this despicable prey. It had been 33 years since the last time it attacked Lin Feng. Moreover, the high-level emptiness realm beast attacked because it could not stand it. Hiss! Roar! The fur of the high-level emptiness realm beast stood on end as it stared at Lin Feng with hostility. It let out an unpleasant roar as if it was threatening and warning Lin Feng. However, it gave off a feeling that it was trying to put up a strong front. But Lin Feng didn't even spare him a glance, minding his own business as he harvested the treasures. Over the past few decades, the treasures he had collected could no longer be described as one by one. Instead, they could be described as piles. Especially the pinnacle true treasures, the number of which was simply astonishing. Not every low-level divine lord had a heavenly law treasure, but every low-level divine lord had at least 2 or more pinnacle treasures, 1 weapon and 1 armor. These were the most basic treasures, and they would usually be paired with a domain-type treasure. After all, experts who didn't have a domain would be at a disadvantage if they fought. In addition, there were also palace-type, control-type, attack-type, defense-type, 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 and so on. On average, a low-level divine master would have around 4 pinnacle true treasures. Even if they were damaged in battle, there would still be an average of around 3. In this Valley Inc. planet, which was extremely difficult to leave, pinnacle true treasures would usually be in the hands of an expert in the end, and the number would be considerable. Normally, an expert who had killed 10 contestants would have a bountiful harvest. But Lin Feng was even scarier. This was because he had never fought by himself. All the experts were killed by high-level emptiness realm beasts. Among them, there were dozens of pinnacle true treasures, 3 heavenly law treasures, and even piles of heaven and earth fruit. There were too many of them. Just by picking up treasures, his hands were numb. Here, for you. Lin Feng directly threw a few heaven and earth fruits to the high-level emptiness realm beast. It wasn't interested in treasures, but the heaven and earth fruits were the most direct source of pure energy, so the high-level emptiness realm beast was quite fond of them, even though they wouldn't be of much help to its own strength. But having something to eat was better than nothing. Roar! The high-level emptiness realm beast quickly swallowed the fruits and roared at Lin Feng a few times. Its hostility seemed to have subsided a little. Then, it glared fiercely at Lin Feng a few times before swaggering off. It had quite a personality. It's easy to get rid of it. Lin Feng smiled. He had been working with the high-level emptiness realm beast for more than 1 or 2 years. It had been almost 70 years. He released some weak aura so that the experts outside the ocean could vaguely sense him. He used it as bait to lure them to come down and kill him. Then, the high-level emptiness realm beast would kill them and take their treasures. The method was simple, but it was very effective. Firstly, He was a Heaven God Realm expert and wasn't worthy of the Divine Master Realm expert's attention. Secondly, the high-level Emptiness Realm beast had a territorial concept. Even if it was his enemy, as long as any expert entered this ocean, it would attack. It would only attack for the sake of attacking. It wouldn't take any treasures that killed the expert because they were useless. The high-level Emptiness Realm beast didn't have intelligence. In the past, it would sometimes attack him, but it didn't anymore. As long as he fed it a few fruits of the heavens and earth from time to time, it would let him go. Although these fruits of the heavens and earth were very expensive and hard to find outside, he didn't need them anymore. Plus, the high-level Emptiness Realm beast helped him obtain treasures, which were just a drop in the ocean. If he wanted to find a fighter, he would have to pay it a salary, right? Most importantly, even if the high-level Emptiness Realm beast used all its strength, it couldn't do anything to him. After attacking for more than 10 times, it finally gave up. I can leave after staying for another 20 years. Lin Feng scanned the entire area until he didn't miss anything. Although he obtained a Heavenly Law treasure this time, it wasn't rare. He was already used to it. He had a total of 33 Heavenly Law treasures with him. It didn't matter if he had one more or one less. It was a pity that he was unlucky. All 33 Heavenly Law treasures were elementary Heavenly Law treasures. If he sold them at the lowest price of 100 Cosmos crystals, he could get 3,300 Cosmos crystals. It was more than enough to repay Wu Sanjian's 1,000 Cosmos crystals. He still had a lot left. It could be said that he would definitely fulfill his mission in the next 100 years. But was he going to leave just like that? Lin Feng's mood was still a little complicated. Although he only came for 1,000 Cosmos crystals in the beginning, part of it was still a challenge. He enjoyed the feeling of facing a strong enemy. No hurry. I'll wait for the next 20 years and reach the lowest standard before making a decision. Lin Feng revealed a smile. At least for now, the initiative and choice were in his hands again. Chapter 23:19. His harvest was decreasing day by day. After all, most of the great beings had left. Even if he only killed 3 or 4 contestants, he had already reached the passing standard because he only needed to collect the 100-year quota. The rest were all great beings hiding in some corner of Gu Mo planet. Very few of them would pass by this ocean. Lin Feng didn't care. After all, his harvest was already enough. It was more than any great being in Gu Mo planet. A total of 275 Pinnacle True Treasures and 36 Heavenly Law True Treasures. Lin Feng counted and was very satisfied. The Pinnacle True Treasures were useless to him now, so he could get rid of them. On average, one treasure cost 10 Cosmos crystals, so he had a few thousand. Among them, there were many top-tier Pinnacle True Treasures whose value was comparable to beginner Heavenly Law True Treasures. Although these top-tier Pinnacle True Treasures could still be used to a certain extent after being combined, he had so many Heavenly Law True Treasures to choose from, so he wouldn't choose any more. Space-type Heavenly Law True Treasure, Universe Armor. Light-type Heavenly Law True Treasure, Dazzling Light Armor. Lin Feng wore 2 pieces of defensive armor. Inside was the Universe Armor, which contained Space Law, and outside was the Dazzling Light Armor. Although they were both beginner Heavenly Law True Treasures, the value of the Universe Armor was much higher than the Dazzling Light Armor. Firstly, the inner armor was rare and was a close-fitting armor, so it had high requirements for the material. Secondly, the Universe Armor was a space type. Although it was a beginner Heavenly Law True Treasure, its value was close to that of a middle-level Heavenly Law True Treasure. It was one of the top 3 beginner Heavenly Law True Treasures in this harvest. It was quite extravagant. The light-type Dazzling Light Armor was also not bad. Lin Feng had chosen this one among the many armors. Firstly, the light type was better than the dark type in all aspects of defense. Secondly, the Dazzling Light Armor was a set, including the helmet and boots, which strengthened the defense of the edges. It didn't matter if he wore 2 pieces of armor because it didn't need to be combined. It was plug and play, so it could have a good effect. Of course, if he could use the heavenly law contained in the heavenly law true treasure, the level of the armor would rise to another level. However, he didn't have enough time. He had no clue about the last ultimate ability of the Bermuda Triangle, the Triangle Destruction, and the secret technique of the Triangle Tomb. The path of comprehending laws and secret techniques was long and arduous. It was impossible to achieve it overnight. As for Shura's king armor, it had already been discarded. Although Shura's killing intent was quite impressive, as a battle armor, its defense was not enough. Secondly, as a pinnacle true treasure, it was inferior to a heavenly Tao true treasure. It was time for it to be eliminated. When Shura was ambushed by a high-level emptiness realm beast that day, a small part of his king armor was shattered and his body was severely injured. If it weren't for the strong endurance of the perfect chaos body and the support of a wandering planet, he would have died. If it was the current Space Kong inner armor and dazzling light armor, even if they were ambushed, the 2 layers of weakening would at most leave them with light injuries. Magic arm Lin Feng stretched out his left hand. It seemed to be covered by a thick layer of devil chi, which dissipated instantly and turned into a black devil wristband connected to his 5 fingers. Pure dark devil aura energy, an astonishing killing aura. A total of 5 grades of dark demonic aura strengthened the magic wrist, making it priceless. Just the first grade alone was comparable to Shura's king armor, and the second grade even surpassed it. Therefore, although the magic wrist was a basic heavenly law supreme treasure, its value was comparable to a mid-level heavenly law supreme treasure. This was 2 of the 3 best basic heavenly law supreme treasures that he had obtained this time. As for the third one, it was of the earth element and couldn't be used with him. Although there were other domain treasures, control treasures, and palace treasures, they couldn't be used with him for the time being. One could never get tired of biting off more than one could chew, so the magic wrist alone couldn't fully display its effects. After obtaining it, he could only use the first grade. He was still trying to figure out the second grade. The magic wrist was especially important, as it belonged to the heavenly law of the Dark Devil. Although it had huge side effects and the effect of devouring its owner, it was also the strongest ability of the 6 paths of darkness. In particular, it could strengthen one's current combat power, which could solve an urgent problem. There are only 3 years left. After comprehending the second grade, I have the explosive power of 2 rings, and I can display a power stronger than Shura's killing intent. Coupled with the Space Kong inner armor and dazzling light armor, my combat power won't be inferior to other low-level Divine Lord. I've reached the standard. If I can comprehend the first grade of my ancestors' light and darkness secret technique, 3 calamities of annihilation, I'll be at the top even among low-level Divine Lords. Lin Feng made the best use of his remaining time. The light and darkness secret technique, 3 calamities of annihilation, was even more difficult to comprehend, even if it was just the basic secret technique of the 9 heavens of light and darkness. The reason why he chose this secret technique was because the 3 calamities of annihilation could be continuously improved. The first grade, annihilation, could be cultivated in the first heaven of light and darkness. The second grade, annihilation, could be cultivated in the second heaven of light and darkness. The third grade, annihilation, could be cultivated in the third heaven of light and darkness. It was an offensive secret technique, and could be combined with blade moves. However, it was still too early to consider this. But the first grade, annihilation, could be comprehended and cultivated with his current cultivation level of the second heaven of light and darkness. The second grade, annihilation, could be comprehended even faster with the foundation of the first grade, annihilation, and its power would be even stronger. He would be able to display the power of the second heaven to the fullest. Not to mention the third grade, annihilation. By the time he comprehended annihilation, he would be invincible even among divine lords. But for now, he still had to focus on the 5th grade of the magic wrist. It contained the Heavenly Tao secret technique demonic python's power, and the 5th grade was actually the level of comprehension of the secret technique demonic nightmare's power. The higher the level of comprehension of the secret technique, the higher the grade of the magic wrist could be raised. Swish! Lin Feng's eyes turned blood-red. He allowed the dark demonic force to fill his body without any control. Previously, he had held back some of his comprehension and focused on comprehension. But now, he had to take a little risk. His body directly endured it, and his comprehension would be the most profound. The dark demonic force itself required the perfect fusion of the blood and the body. Only then could one truly comprehend it. As for the backlash and the destruction of the Master, it was a characteristic of the dark demonic heavenly Tao law, so there was no need to pay attention to it. Lin Feng firmly believed in his own willpower. He would not be affected by the dark demonic force and turn into a demon. There were risks in battle. It was normal for there to be risks in cultivation. If he was unable to cultivate the 2nd grade of the magic wrist and enter the initial standard test, the danger would be even greater. Lin Feng was very clear about this point. Rather than letting others decide his fate, it was better for him to decide his own fate now. That's it. Yes, this feeling. I understand now. Lin Feng's mind was filled with incomparable killing intent. His eyes were bloodshot like a demon's. But in an instant, his eyes shone brightly, driving away all the blood-red color, and his mind returned to normal. At the last moment of the 90 years, 2 black rings appeared on Lin Feng's wrist. He had reached the 2nd grade of the magic wrist. Good. Lin Feng clenched his left fist. Chapter 23:20. Time was up. 90 years passed in the blink of an eye. To Lin Feng, these 90 years had started off high and low. In the beginning, his luck was extremely bad. He had encountered 2 opponents in a row and was severely injured. Fortunately, everything went smoothly after that. The peaceful coexistence with high-level void boundary beasts not only brought him a stable place to rest, but also a considerable amount of wealth. 275 pinnacle true treasures and 36 heaven path true treasures. Looking at the great beings who entered Gu-Mo planet over the years, they were probably the top 10 rewards. Congratulations, contestant. You have completed the minimum requirement of the Time Void Boundary Survival Challenge. The voice was loud and clear, without any emotional fluctuations. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, and he returned to the independent space with top-tier intelligence. Here, there was no threat to his life. You have received 211 universe crystals. You can exchange the same amount of universe crystals for bet. You have received the identity of an ordinary member of the Time Virtual Company. You can go to any branch in the Peak Astral World to register. You have received the identity of a 6-star mercenary in the 7th Mercenary Alliance. You can go to the Peak Astral World Mercenary Alliance to complete the identity registration. A series of rewards were displayed on the virtual screen in front of him. Lin Feng was dazzled. Before participating in the Time Void Boundary Survival Challenge, Lin Feng didn't look at the details of the rewards. Hence, he was flattered. 211 universe crystals were already known from the details of the rewards before entering Gu-Mo planet. 10 universe crystals were the reward, 201 universe crystals were the odds, and both were 10 times. If it was a normal 1 times, it would only be 21 universe crystals. In other words, the minimum requirement was not bad, but it could only be said to be not bad. Strictly speaking, it was a step from the universe country to the peak astral world. It recognized your strength and identity, allowing you to take root in the peak astral world. It was as if they had moved from a remote corner of the empire to the most luxurious imperial capital. The rewards were mostly ordinary identities, which was more convenient. No wonder Senior Qi didn't mention it. Looking at all, only the identity of an ordinary member of the Time Virtual Company and the identity of a 6-star mercenary in the 7th Mercenary Alliance are more precious. Lin Feng looked at all the rewards. The rewards of the two giants were naturally more precious than the others, especially the identity of a 6-star mercenary in the 7th Mercenary Alliance. One had to know how many missions and energy one needed to do to become a 6-star mercenary. Now it was done in one go. From this, one could see the pyramid level of power in the peak astral world. The 5 giants were in the first echelon. The rewards were mainly from the Time Virtual Company and the 7th Mercenary Alliance, but there were no other 3 giants. Obviously, there was no cooperation. Below them were the First Bank, Treasure Hall, Armory Heavenly Manor, Limitless Biology Group, and so on. They were all in the second tier, just as Senior Chi had said. In the Yun Xin Cosmic Nation, the Steel Bone Spaceship Company was considered a giant, but not in the Xing Feng astral sector. There was always a mountain taller than the other. As for the third echelon, there were as many as the hairs on a cow. However, in comparison, the third echelon's rewards were more practical. Among them, there was even a lot of recruitment information that was quite attractive. Royal Bank Elite Bodyguard. Pengyu Great Ranch Guard Captain. There were quite a lot of recruitment messages. Some of them were good pay, some were strong, and all kinds of seats could be chosen. If one wanted to live and work in the Xing Feng astral world, it was a good choice. Compared to normal Xing Feng astral world residents, their status was usually higher. After all, to be able to get the lowest standard, one's ability was quite good. Actually, this is a stepping stone. Lin Feng had no interest in the third echelon. To him, the thing he wanted the most was the military seat in the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company. Senior Wu Sanjian passed the basic standard to join the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company? Lin Feng suddenly thought, based on the current rewards, there seems to be a sign of that. Now I'm only being recruited by the third echelon organizations. If I reach the basic standard, I might be recruited by the second echelon organizations. That means, if I can pass the next test and reach the basic standard, I can join the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company? He was looking forward to it. After coming out of the Milky Way super black hole, the first organization he met was the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company. After seeing Senior Wu Sanjian's power, it was hard not to have a deep impression of him. Senior Wu Sanjian was only a member of the military. In the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company, the King's Department, the General's Department, the Military's Department, and the Military's Department were the last. The details of the rewards were all browsed. The screen clearly showed 2 choices. One was to continue to participate and challenge the basic standard. The other was to quit while he was ahead, receive the rewards, leave the Time Void Realm, and step into the Xing Feng astral world. One thought to heaven, one thought to hell. Continuing to participate might give him more benefits, but at the same time, he might lose everything, including what he had just received. Continue. Lin Feng directly pressed the virtual button. There was nothing to hesitate about. Even if it wasn't for the rewards and not for the Steel Bone Universe Ship Company's military position, he had already decided to continue to train himself. The Time Void Realm Survival Challenge was dangerous, but danger was often accompanied by opportunity. Moreover, he wasn't satisfied with the lowest standard challenge. It was as if he had just stepped into the challenge. His blood had just started to boil, and it was going to end? Of course not. 5th Time Void Realm, Time Flow 100. Basic Standard Mission. Survive for 1,000 years and obtain at least 1 virtual red core. Every time you kill a competitor, you can choose to reduce the mission requirement by 100 years, or you will be rewarded with 1 virtual red core. Every time you kill a middle-level Void Realm beast, you can reduce the mission requirement by 10 years. Every time you kill a high-level Void Realm beast, you can reduce the mission requirement by 100 years. Kill a top-level Void Realm beast, and the mission is completed. Basic Standard Mission Location, Brown Peak Star System. There is a protective membrane outside. Don't worry about other advanced warriors. 201 universe crystals have been deposited into personal temporary account. 1 universe crystal can be exchanged for 1 year of mission requirement. Lin Feng read carefully. The basic standard mission seemed to be easier than he had imagined. It could be said to be the advanced version of the lowest standard mission. Although he still had to face other competitors, the area was larger, from a planet to a star system. Secondly, he still didn't have to face particularly strong advanced warriors. They were all warriors of the lowest standard. With the time flow of 100, he would at most meet competitors who had been alive for 10 years. But if he looked carefully, there were many fishy aspects. Chapter 23-21. In the 5th time, there aren't many participants from the virtual realm. 20,000 to 50,000 from the universe country and 10,000 from Xing Feng astral sector. The total number is 30,000 to 60,000. The average number is 45,000. The number of participants who have reached the minimum standard is about 4,500 participants. If half of them continue to participate and the other half leave, there should be 2,200 participants in a year. In 10 years, there will be 22,000 participants. However, the participants in the first few years are estimated to have suffered heavy casualties. Including the participants from Brown Peak Star System this year, there should only be about 10,000 participants. The number was indeed not many. It was far inferior to the participants from Gu-Mo planet, but the degree of threat would be greater. Lin Feng was very clear about this point. This was because every single one of those who had emerged from the Valley Inc. planet was a well-known figure among the lower Divine Lords, not to mention the lower Divine Lords who were already in the Brown Peak star system. They were the survivors who had gone through 2 rounds of survival of the fittest. Their strength would be very terrifying. The first 300 years are the key. Lin Feng thought to himself, after the first 300 years, we will become the participants in the middle level of Brown Peak star system. Those strong warriors will either leave or live in seclusion, waiting for the mission time to arrive. The existence of the virtual red core prevents participants from completely avoiding killing. At least one participant has to be killed. But Lin Feng still had some doubts about the second rule. For every participant killed, you can choose to reduce the mission requirement by 100 years or you will be rewarded with a virtual red core. So the result of killing is a multiple-choice question? Obtaining a virtual red core is necessary, but obtaining more will bring other benefits? What are the benefits? Lin Feng looked through the rules carefully. There was no mention of the top-level AI. The more mysterious it was, the more useful it was. Even if it was called virtual. Because the Virtual Time Survival Challenge had the word virtual. The 201 cosmos crystals he had previously obtained could be used. It was equivalent to reducing the mission time by 201 years, giving the participants more choices. However, it didn't seem to be that simple. Is it a reward or a trap? Lin Feng didn't know at the moment. After thinking about it carefully, he still had no clue, so he threw it aside. There were many things that had to be done in order to know, including his previous judgment of the Brown Peak star system. It was just a personal guess and might not be true. However, it was still necessary to make some preparations before entering. Emptiness Realm Beast, with my current strength, I'm afraid it's still a little difficult to kill high-level Emptiness Realm Beasts, but killing middle-level Emptiness Realm Beasts shouldn't be a problem. As for top-level Emptiness Realm Beasts, it's best to avoid them. After grasping the second gear of the mana arm, Lin Feng gained a lot of confidence in his current strength. If he entered the Valley Inc. planet again, he was confident that he could contend against a low-level Divine Master and kill 10 contestants to advance. However, they were about to enter the Brown Peak star system, and their opponents would be even stronger. Every one of them was difficult to deal with. I'm not in a hurry to collect the virtual red cores. My current strength is still below average. After entering, I have to be extra careful and try to hide as much as I can. I'll hide from it for a few hundred years and cultivate well. When the first gust of wind blows and most of the first batch of contestants leave, it won't be too late to hunt for the virtual red cores then. After carefully organizing his thoughts, Lin Feng left the isolated space. This time, they were going to enter the Brown Peak star system. Space shifted, and he appeared in a mysterious spatial tunnel. The scene changed abruptly, and in an instant, what greeted him was a stretch of dark blue with torrential water. He was in the middle of a vast ocean, and it was truly wondrous. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect that he would be in the middle of an ocean when he left. Was it a coincidence? It shouldn't be. Lin Feng pondered. It seemed that this place was connected to the place where he left the Valley Inc. planet. At least he didn't have to worry about encountering a life-and-death battle as soon as he entered the Valley Inc. planet. If he was lucky in the Valley Inc. planet, he would meet someone of similar strength, but it might not be the case here. None of the contestants who reached the minimum standard were easy to deal with. Let's search around first. Lin Feng quickly released the absolute emptiness and controlled the domain. Although releasing the absolute emptiness would expose his aura, he had tasted the power of a high-level emptiness realm beast. If he didn't release the domain, he would be asking for trouble. Even though he had the universe inner armor and the dazzling light armor to make up for his weakest defense, these two heavenly law treasures could only exert elementary defense and couldn't display their true power. Moreover, this was the Brown Peak star system, not the Valley Inc. planet. Other than high-level emptiness realm beasts, there were even more terrifying top-level emptiness realm beasts. Not only could they perfectly blend into the environment, but they were also silent. Even if they attacked, they wouldn't reveal any aura. It was terrifying. The stronger they were, the more terrifying their attacks were. I still don't know if the domain has any effect on it. Lin Feng thought to himself. He estimated that there was only a 50% chance. The introduction of the top-level artificial intelligence wasn't very detailed, but it recorded the ability of a top-level emptiness realm beast to blend into the environment. Strictly speaking, the domain was also a kind of environment. It was very likely that a top-level emptiness realm beast could blend into the domain. If that's the case, it would be too terrifying. Lin Feng thought about it and felt that it was dangerous, especially with his current combat power. If he encountered a top-level emptiness realm beast, he would be in danger. My luck shouldn't be that bad. There are probably only 2 or 3 top-level emptiness realm beasts in the entire Brown Peak star system, just like the high-level emptiness realm beast in the Valley Inc. planet. If I really encounter one, I will be very lucky. Based on the ratio, the chances of him encountering a high-level emptiness realm beast was higher. In the sky above the ocean, a demon expert with black wings flew past. He had a pair of crystal black eyes that were like the eyes of a devil. He had a silvery white metallic nose that was raised high. He had a bird's beak and a human body, and his body was covered with spikes and scales. Every time he flapped his wings, time seemed to slow down. The black spikes on his body were densely covered with a dark luster. He was extremely proficient in the dark heavenly Tao. He was Qi Mozi, a low-level godly lord of the Xing Peak star domain. It should be about time. The demon expert, Qi Mozi, flew in the sky at an astonishing speed and changed directions. He distorted space. His control of the Tao of dark matter had reached an astonishing level. His speed in the sky was extremely terrifying. Those bastards are all hunting the newbies. Let's see who has better luck. Qi Mozi searched everywhere. He had completely explored the aura of the newbies. His crystal black eyes scanned the surroundings. Suddenly he paused. His eyes widened as he looked below. The ocean? It's in the ocean. That's right. Kakik. Qi Mozi's body distorted and landed above the ocean. His claws touched the water. His hideous face let out a hoarse laugh. Chi Mozi was arrogant and wanton. I didn't expect you to be a heavenly god newbie. Awesome. This feels so good. I have obtained a virtual red core. Chi Mozi's figure distorted and entered the ocean. Chapter 23-22. In the ocean, Lin Feng was carefully exploring. On planet Guemo, he had encountered high-level emptiness realm beasts in the ocean, but there were none here. The blue ocean was calm, and the all-emptiness domain was filled with space rule power like a loyal guard. Suddenly, a huge force appeared in a crushing manner and swooped down from above. Although there was water resistance, it still couldn't stop the terrifying dark twisting power. The powerful dark matter energy seemed to fill the entire ocean. The enemy was here. No choice. Lin Feng instantly prepared for battle. When he released all emptiness, he knew that he could avoid the emptiness realm beasts, but he couldn't avoid the other contestants. He could perfectly hide his aura, but all emptiness couldn't. Although there was an energy barrier in the ocean that weakened the aura transmission, as long as he was close to the ocean, he could still sense it. Let them come. Lin Feng wasn't afraid. Since he was participating in the Time Emptiness Realm Survival Challenge, he had to face other great beings. He couldn't just rely on hiding all the time. He had always liked fighting and knew that fighting was the fastest way to improve his power. Now, compared to when he was on planet Guemo, he had many breakthroughs. He had reached the standard of a low-level divine master. Magic Arm, First Gear. Lin Feng instantly activated his battle mode. A black ring appeared on his left index finger like black blood flowing, and a terrifying Heaven Path rule power circulated throughout his body. Dark Demon Heaven Path Secret Technique, Nightmare Demon Power. Roar. A terrifying dark demon python shadow appeared. Lin Feng's eyes turned red and his combat power surged. In an instant, all emptiness had risen to 100 years, and the speed was extremely fast. The Nightmare Demon power didn't just strengthen his combat power, but it also increased his overall strength. Even though the first gear wasn't as strong as Shura's killing intent, it was more complete and comprehensive. Overall, it wasn't inferior at all. It might even be better. Roar! All emptiness was boiling. The 10-year all emptiness was only a mid-level pinnacle true treasure, but at 100 years, it had the power of a high-level pinnacle true treasure and provided a lot of combat power. The expansion of the domain was directly reflected on the demon race great being, Chi Mozi. The Time Heaven Path rule power instantly collided with all emptiness. A resounding voice resounded through the fluctuations of time. 10,000 years of emptiness instantly stopped its operation and the surrounding time slowed down. Lin Feng only saw a flash before his eyes and the monster race powerhouse's attack arrived. The monster race powerhouse's wings were like blades, distorting the heavenly Tao of dark matter and breaking through everything. Myriad obscuring heavenly blade. When the black dragon worm appeared, Lin Feng broke it with his saber. The tyrannical strength drove the saber move. The second layer of light and darkness intertwined with the divine patterns and demonic patterns. The power of the nightmare strengthened every part of the body, exploding with terrifying power. Although the saber art was not exquisite, the demon race experts were not good at it either. A head-on clash of physical bodies. What? Chi Mozi's heart skipped a beat as he felt a terrifying recoil. His wings instantly went numb, and his follow-up attack was interrupted. He retreated as his face turned pale with fright. How can his strength be so strong? Chi Mozi couldn't understand how a heavenly deity could have such a strong fleshly body. Just as he retreated, before he could regain his senses, the surrounding space seemed to have been torn apart. The triangular spiral attack arrived in the blink of an eye. Chi Mozi's eyes widened in shock. He wrapped his wings around himself, and the heavenly Tao battle armor revealed its lofty appearance. It wrapped around him like a hard cocoon. Boom! Only an instant had passed from the complacent attack to the miserable retreat. Chi Mozi, who had underestimated Lin Feng, lost the initiative. Lin Feng, who had blasted the triangular tomb, quickly took the initiative to attack. The black dragon worm descended, overflowing with battle intent. Offense was his forte. Lin Feng was very clear about his weakness. If he could avoid it, he would do his best to avoid it. He was good at offense and protracted battles. Even when facing a powerful lesser divine lord, he still had the ability to injure them. The combination of the triangular tomb and close combat was perfect. However, the enemy's resistance and defense were equally shocking. None of the lesser divine lords who could reach this place were simple. Second gear. Lin Feng quickly erupted with all his might. He had just cultivated the second gear of the Nightmare Devil's power and couldn't use it stably yet. He was afraid of backlash and other repercussions. However, he couldn't care about that now. Lin Feng was very clear about the situation. He had to attack from a high vantage point and couldn't give his opponent any chance to counterattack. Even though he had just cultivated the second gear of the Nightmare Devil's power, he believed that his concentration during battle would reduce the side effects to the minimum. Moreover, he had already gotten used to the Dark Demon Heavenly Law. He had faith in himself. Another explosive increase in attacks caused Chi Mozi to feel even worse, and he was bombarded with a wave of ferocious attacks that caused him to feel dizzy. Especially when he was underwater, it was even more difficult for him to utilize the advantage of his speed as an overlord of the sky, and it caused Chi Mozi to roar repeatedly with rage. Scram! Scram! Chi Mozi crazily counterattacked. His fighting spirit was strong, and his bones were filled with determination and killing intent. His talent in dark matter was fully unleashed, and even his body became distorted. His attacks became more and more unpredictable. Even though his speed was limited, Chi Mozi's combat power was still strong. Not only did he have the talent in dark matter, but he also had a powerful bloodline that slowed down time. Whoosh whoosh, like a gentle breeze, time became slower and slower. At this moment, the suction force of the space domain he was in suddenly increased. The terrifying power was completely affected. Damn it, a pinnacle true treasure domain. Chi Mozi gritted his teeth and was filled with hatred. He didn't rely on the domain because he didn't need it. On land, his speed combined with his ability in dark matter allowed him to control the situation well. Even if his opponent had a domain, they couldn't do anything to him. But in the water, it was inevitable that he would be affected. Go to hell. Chi Mozi unleashed all his strength. He gritted his teeth, and his aura was ferocious. He wanted to turn the situation around, but the initial entrapment caused him to lose a lot of opportunities, and he was slightly injured. Even though he seemed to be on the same level, he was only on the same level. It was hard for him to gain the upper hand. Hong, hong, hong. The opponent's attacks came wave after wave. The collision of physical bodies and the exhaustion of strength made Chi Mozi extremely uncomfortable. He was originally here to hunt a newbie, but he didn't expect to meet such a tough opponent. Damn it! Chi Mozi fiercely attacked Lin Feng. His talent in time was fully unleashed. His wings turned into two sharp blades as he tried to break through the water and escape. The space domain below him was strongly binding, but Chi Mozi didn't care. It's just a pinnacle true treasure domain. You want to trap me? Dream on. Chi Mozi quickly escaped into the sky. His eyes were filled with anger and humiliation. He would come back for revenge after he had rested and recovered his strength. Next time, he would definitely kill this damned heaven god human. But at this moment, an extremely terrifying suction force came from below. It was like a black hole swallowing everything, pushing the space domain to the extreme. 10,000 years of emptiness, 10,000 years. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. He ignited the ultimate nightmare power and unleashed the complete power of 10,000 years of emptiness. At this moment, it was like the heavenly Tao had descended and crushed everything. No! Chi Mozi's eyes were red and filled with extreme fear.